Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here?
The king is dead. A moment of silence. A moment of rock for the king. I think I know how like people felt when Elvis died. Today we're going to talk about red pill facts and fictions. I am going to be doing a podcast tomorrow on a up and coming podcast, and I wanted to square some things away before I got started, and it seemed like a timely topic, so stick around. I'm back. Thank you very much. I'm back. Yes, today's show will be dedicated to the living memory of Edward Van Halen. Thought I would put everything up there. Yes, why not? Let's let the whole thing run out. All right, guys. Welcome back. Thank you for having me back. I had to take Sunday off. I was getting to the point, like last week, I was really spreading myself thin with a lot of different things and not just what you probably are thinking about. We did Rule Zero. We did a show. We did our full conference, our online conference, starting Friday, went through Saturday, and Saturday was a very long day sitting here in the studio. And I don't think people really understand just the amount of prep work we put into this kind of stuff. I also don't think that a lot of people really understand the amount of effort, like the collaborative effort. I don't want to say it was just me. It certainly wasn't just me, but the amount of collaborative effort that even the guys who are doing their own solo projects, who like say for instance John from Modern Life Dating, Aaron Clary, by the way, has his own I guess workshop kind of thing. His online workshop is coming up very soon. So if you're interested in that, let me know, because I will probably be an affiliate for him. Definitely, I will do anything for you, Aaron. I'm sorry. I will do anything for Aaron. Aaron's a good dude. I have known Aaron at least as long as I've known Hotep Jesus. There are some guys in the manosphere and the red pill communities that I have known since at least the late 2000s. I want to say I knew Aaron. I think I knew Aaron before I even had the Rational Male blog going, which, by the way, I realize I have not updated in a while. I have not done something on there, but there's a very good reason for that. And that's one of the things I've been doing, which is I have had my nose to the grindstone with this book for really the past year. So far, like the last 10 months for sure. I've had a lot of stops and a lot of starts. I think I'm finally seeing light at the end of the tunnel right now. And so that has been consuming a lot of my time. Needless to say, it's not just a book that is a collection of blog posts. Even if that was the case, it still would be okay for me. But this is probably my best sourced book. It's mostly, I would say it's about 85% original material. There's a few things in there that I felt that needed to get in there from the blog. So I added those in there. I pulled the trigger and decided to do that, even though it turns out to be a very big book. Certainly the bigger, you're definitely going to get your money's worth for this one. If all you go by is page count and like how long it took you to read the book. I have no idea who Nick Rekiada. Let me tell you something, Musky Mouse. I see you there. I have no idea who this individual is. And I'm glad you brought that up, because it's a nice segue into what I'm going to talk about today. I'm going to be on the Charlie and Ben podcast tomorrow. I was approached by whoever their producer is, or I know that they're the two hosts. I think they've got somebody else behind them. I'm a one-man show, just so you know. I don't have a producer. Ned is my producer, and he's not even in here today. Ned, my greyhound. They're my moral support here. But I really spread myself really kind of thin when I've always been a kind of a one-man show. And not because I don't want to delegate things to people, I would love to do that. I would love to have like sort of a manager or somebody to help me out with a lot of the stuff that I do. It would make things a lot easier. It's just really hard to find that individual. Although I know I'm looking at a friend of mine has been gracious enough to hit me up and say, you need to do something. I probably will. I probably will do something a little bit more coordinated, I think, once the fourth book is out. Everything hinges on the fourth book right now. I don't do anything but write. That's all I do. And then occasionally do this show. So Sunday I took the day off because I was just exhausted mentally and physically. And I just needed to like sleep in and just sort of like, I wasn't even all that active on Twitter on Sunday. I mean, I'll check my feed occasionally, but I was just like, I'm just done. I got to go fish. I got to go do something. So I just needed to sort of recharge. So that's what I did. And then of course, what happens yesterday is Eddie Van Halen dies. And that's why you see my version that I made, of the Frankenstrat, which is Eddie's famous thing. Eddie has a very, I have to do this from the outset because Eddie Van Halen was probably one of the most influential like people in my life for a long time. My very first album, the first like cassette maybe in the first record that I ever had, like the LP, like an actual record you put on a record player. My first album was Van Halen 1. And I was 10 years old when that came out. And I am, if you didn't know this, here's some secret information about Rollo Tomassi. I was born and raised in Pasadena, California. I was born in Huntington Memorial Hospital in Pasadena. I lived there until, well, I fluctuated between Pasadena, and then when I was an adult, when I got older, I fluctuated between Pasadena and North Hollywood. And throughout my youth, you know, in the 80s, the early, well, like I was 10 years old in 1978. So that would have, you know, I'm definitely a kid of the 80s, and Van Halen was a big deal because they were from Pasadena, California. And that was a big deal. Everybody wanted to be Eddie Van Halen. Kiss was a real big deal for me when I was a kid because it was Kiss, right? And I wanted to, I got into, I think I really turned into, really enjoying rock and roll, like heavy metal, hard rock, rock and roll, acid rock. Back in the day, I remember the Cal Jam concerts I could never go to because I was too young. And then the US Festival came when I was 15. I was like, wow, yeah, I'm going. Glen Helen Regional Park, 1983. So Van Halen was a really big deal. They were the hometown heroes for a long time, and everyone wanted to be Eddie. And Eddie Van Halen and Randy Rhoads were the two guitar players that made me want to pick up the guitar and start playing. I still play to this day. So when Eddie died, I hate to say it wasn't a shock because I know he'd had throat cancer before when he was about 50. He snapped back from it, and then I guess he had a recurrence of it, and that was that. I really think he was probably one of the, well, if not the greatest guitar player of all time. Certainly in our generation. In this, I like a lot of guitar players, so let's just clear the air here, and not just they don't have to be heavy metal rock gods or anything like that. I like Andre Segovia. I like a lot of Latin players, and I have an appreciation, and I can play actually flamenco guitar too. So there's a lot of things. I like a lot of different styles, but always come back to the shredders of the 80s. So anyways, all hail. So today, anyways, I wanted to get into some of these red pill myths, I guess, facts and fictions, because I saw, I don't know where these guys came from, but I had an email sent to me from, I guess, their producer, but it was the Charlie and Ben podcast. They're all right. I mean, I guess they're right around 25,000 subs, somewhere around there. I'm not, just because you have, I don't care if you have like 1,000 subs or 1,000,000 subs. If I think that you're relevant or I think that we can have a good conversation, I'm happy to talk to you. So I checked out their channel. A lot of their stuff it's not live stream stuff so much. And a lot of it, like they did an interview of Brett Weinstein, which I thought was interesting because I like Brett. So I looked at it and I go, okay, yeah, I'll give them a shot. And then I looked at a couple of the videos that they have, and I'm going to show a couple of them today. They're not very long. They're only like maybe 8 minutes, maybe 9. And I guess I don't know. I apologize, guys. there is I don't know who, I don't know who's who. I'm just going to assume that one of them is Charlie and one of them is Ben. I think the guy that I'm referring to is Ben. But apparently he's been reading my book, or he's been sort of investigating the red pill. And I thought it was an interesting opportunity to sort of, I don't want to say dispel red pill myths, but I've done this about hypergamy before. Like I dedicated a whole show, and I have a whole essay dedicated to sort of dispelling all of the, mythology, I guess, but dispelling the misconceptions about hypergamy. And I think that there's a lot to sort of take in the red pill and things and topics like the red that are, it's, I guess, like principal to the red pill are not like something you can give an elevator pitch for. And I hated that. I had when I was doing the V-Pro interview, I had a lot of like the guy who was the main director, producer guy who was asking me these questions says, okay, can you tell me what the red pill is in like 5 minutes? I'm like, no. I just said straight out, no, I can't, because it's something that is, it's got almost, we're almost up to about a 20-year history. I from my involvement anyway, it's just about 18 years. I peg it right at about like 2001, 2002, somewhere around there. And there's a lot of history to it. And I like to think I was there for almost all of it, if not all of it. And I'm not going to say I'm like sort of like some red pill historian, but I guess in a way I am. Aaron Clary would be to an extent. Certainly, Roosh used to be before he kind of lost his mind. Royce, if I could ever find out whatever happened to the original writer of what is it, Royce Unici, that became Chateau Hartiste, I would say he was. I would say that like the guys who were, I don't say trailblazers, but like the guys who were the luminaries, right? The contemporaries, right? Dalrock was definitely one. There's a few others that I can think of, but and then myself. But I think that at some point you either burn out or you sort of change your branding, because that becomes your bread and butter, I guess. And for me, it's not my bread and butter. I'm not changing my branding. I've never changed my branding. And I like to say that, that's my branding is sticking to this and sticking to intersexual dynamics. And I've seen a lot of definitions of the red pill come and go. So when somebody new comes into it, excuse me, I don't have my coffee today. I actually had it before I came on. I probably should have kept it. When somebody new comes into the sphere in some capacity, I would say there is a new generation right now. A lot of these guys are sort of Generation Z. They're the young, not quite millennials. Millennials are like kind of moving on towards into the mid 30s and 40s, I believe, right now. So I guess they're Generation Z. They would be somewhere between 20 and 30 years old, I guess. And this kind of stuff, like they see it, and it's much more accessible and it's much more developed than it was when I was learning and sort of coming up with ideas and writing posts and having the conversations and everything that I did back on SoSwap, back on Alt Fast Seduction, back on other forums and other blogs from 2002 on through, let's just say 2012. That's a good 10-year stretch right there. I would say that's where a lot of sort of like the proto red pill began. And people always say, well, you don't talk about Tom Leykis. Well, I talk about Tom Leykis quite a bit, actually. And I think Tom was definitely proto red pill. I think he was before his time. Patrice O'Neill, yes, all hail, whatever. Patrice O'Neill, another guy who was before his time and made a lot of good jokes. He was funny because he got it. And the only way you could deliver it was to be either a shock jock like Tom Leykis or to be Patrice O'Neill and turn it into your stand-up comedy bits. And that's how we sort of deliver messages, by laughing at them. And I think it's interesting today really since 2015, 2016, like at least the last 5 years, it's become increasingly more, say dangerous, but maybe it is dangerous to even make fun of certain things, because you're going to offend the sensibilities of the last two generations. And so you get guys like Jerry Seinfeld or Chris Rock or guys who are, the standards, the staples of the 90s, like who are the comedians who could go and get away with that kind of stuff. And yeah, I know Bill Burr, he still does his stuff, but even Bill Burr, you can't play to certain audiences, and you can't, and those those guys, those comedians could actually go and say something. And of course, from my perspective, red pill is intersexual dynamics. So they could talk about it. And it was, well, it's in the context of being a comedy bit, a stand-up bit. And you could go and deliver those messages because people could laugh at them because, you know, in your back of your head, they're funny because they're true. And you know that they're true. What is this? Alpha Mailed says, MGTOW says there is no table anymore. What the hell is table? I got no clue what you're talking about, Alpha. Please clarify. And then, Donovan is in. Hello, Donovan. What's going on, my friend? Great topic. Thank you. Yeah, I think it's definitely pertinent. There are offshoots, let's just say, of what we call it the manosphere. We didn't call it the manosphere back then. We didn't call it the manosphere in 2002. We barely even called it the red pill. I can show you posts of that I created. They're still there on SoSuave from 2004, maybe 2002, 2004 for sure, where I use the term red pill, where I use the term unplugging from the matrix, where I've used a term like blue pill conditioning. And so when I hear like guys will say, you know, they want to sort of co-opt the red pill as their own little personal brands, or MGTOW or MRAs or incels or black pill or doom pill or whatever, you know, I can remember when what became incels and what became at least the more extreme end of MGTOW was called the, not Forever Alone, but it was True Force Loneliness. That was a big deal. And I can remember forums like PUA Hate, and which of course ended up becoming destroyed, was erased after the Elliot Rodger incident. And then what happened after that? Oh, now it's Slut Hate. And that's the new form. I don't even, maybe it's still around, but it's basically the same guys who just went and started a new forum and called it that. And then there was, of course, the Red Pill forum that was on Reddit, which is technically still around. It's just still quarantined. They just sort of like locked it out and forgot about it, and probably are still forgetting about it in the hopes that people would just like give up on it. And more or less they have. So what do? We move on. We go on to other things. Forums are kind of dead right now. I don't think entirely dead. I mean, Roosh V has his Roosh V forums, but it's not what it was before. So back in the day, way back in the day, when we were on SoSuave and everything was about PUAs, that's what everybody still to this day sort of wants to paint the red pill as when it comes to intersexual dynamics, because back in 2015, right around the time where we start seeing the rise of the alt-right, then everybody decided that they wanted to be called red pill. Candace Owens used to call herself red pill black. Everybody who was sort of on board with Trump or the alt-right was suddenly red pill this, red pill that. And I talked about this. I kind of wanted to return to this because thanks, Donovan, for that $20, my friend. I wanted to return to this because back in 2018 at a certain convention that will still remain nameless, I did a State of the Manosphere address, and that was 2 years ago now. So when I kind of review that, I kind of look at what I nailed, and I pretty much nailed everything. But the biggest thing that I nailed, or I think the most significant thing that I nailed about that, was the using of loose brands to build what I call the brand of me. Now, I don't know if there's a book called that, the brand of me, but that's pretty much where everybody's at right now. And if you are online, if you're into online dating, I kind of return to the idea of the brand of me after listening to John talking about, well, this was from the Rule Zero conference that we did on Saturday. I was listening to what he was talking about, and it's like dating is sales. That's basically what it is. Troy will tell you the same thing. Myron Gaines will tell you the same thing, that it's you're marketing yourself. And what is that? That's the brand of me. And I talked about this in 2018, is that one of the biggest threats to the red pill as sort of an honest to goodness, genuine, sincere movement to help guys and to sort of be a force for, I don't know, social change, if nothing else, or to make guys red pill aware. If that is the overall goal, I mean, what's the overarching goal of the red pill in terms of intersexual dynamics? It's at least from my perspective, it's to help guys. It's to keep the noose off their necks. It's to keep the guns out of their mouths. It's to help the guys who are being zeroed out, and it's to help the future guys so they don't get zeroed out, or they're less likely to get zeroed out, or they, I've said that the red pill exists so you not so you will hate women, but so you won't hate them for what they can never be for you. And from that perspective, there has to be sort of I don't want to say intellectual honesty, but there sort of has to be your desire to be a part of that. There has to be something that's honest to goodness about that. And I'm not saying that like other people in other factions and other sort of tribes of the manosphere aren't doing things for the right reasons. I'm just saying that it exists today that you have to be a brand of me. I'm a brand of me. You, if you're watching this, most likely, if you're giving me super chats, if you have an account, you're probably a brand of yourself. If you're dating right now, one of the things that John and Myron and Troy and even Sterling Cooper and the rest of these guys are talking about is like, if you don't have Instagram, you're basically shooting yourself in the foot. You have to learn marketing just for yourself now. I mean, if you want to live off the grid and, become a sort of a internet hermit, I guess there's always that. But as I keep saying, we have a global sexual marketplace now. It's not so much a local sexual marketplace. And even if you said, screw it, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to look for girls in my church or girls at school or girls where, I'm just going to source my women from whatever. Or not source them at all and hope they'll, the right girl will show up at the grocery store when I happen to be there. Even if that's your plan, you still are your own brand of me. And people, I think, are unconsciously recognizing that you kind of have to do that. What's your Facebook? What's your Twitter? What's your Instagram? What's your Snapchat? That's your sort of digital, like it's your digital footprint, but, so what happens is when that becomes something that is that's a part of us. That's part of our digital consciousness. I think I've mentioned that before. Is that a digital consciousness is, is this what it is? Is this how it is now? Okay. MGTOW say there is no more negotiating table between men and women anymore, which may be true for England. Oh my God, you go to your side of the table and you go to your side of the table and then nobody talk anymore. And we'll just let the human race die out because that's getting together, because that's pro-social, because that's going to solve the world's problems, right? Right. So anyways, when somebody new comes into the manosphere, they're also considering the brand of me for the people who are, let's just say, the brand ambassadors, right, of the red pill or the manosphere. And if what they're saying runs counter to what they've been taught growing up, maybe what their parents taught them, things that ought to be, things that should be. One kind of point of contention that I get thrown at with me is I am a little bit brutal when it comes to what is rather than what ought to be, rather than what should be. And in the first part of book 4, I talk about sort of why red pill thinkers, let's just say, for lack of a better term, just because I don't have any better, frame of reference, but red pill thinkers and blue pill thinkers, right? Old order thinker versus new order thinker, guy who is sort of interested in empirical facts and what's going on versus the guy who is what should be. I hear this a lot, and I'm sick and friggin' tired of it, that the red pill is an ideology. In fact, you're going to hear a little bit of that today. And I want to clarify that right now. I don't know how many times I have to keep saying this. The red pill is not an ideology. It is a praxeology. It's a loose science. Praxeology, and I've called it praxeology because that's the only term that comes close to what I can think of. It's sort of objectivism. I had somebody tell me, "Wait, have you ever read Ayn Rand or The Fountainhead or Atlas Shrugged?" And I'm like, no. And well, I mean, I've read Atlas Shrugged, but I'm not a big fan of Rand. I'm not a big fan of like Yaron Brooks or whoever. Like, I'm not a follower of objectivism, but a lot of the stuff I relate in the fashion that I relate is really objective. I try to stay objective. I try to stay as objective about things as possible. But I also understand that human beings can't be 100% objective. We can make a good shot at it. We can take a good dig at it, but we're never going to be 100%. Because again, observing a process changes the process. Observer effect. So the more I talk about it, the more people go, well, people will ask me this, the first thing out of anyone's mouth. And I'll guarantee you this will be the first question that comes to me from Charlie and Ben. Who hurt you? How did you become Rollo Tomassi? Like when I did the interview with Andrew Hales back in January of this year in Vegas, that was one of the first things he said. He says, what event in your life made you think the way you do? Because you think way outside of what anybody else thinks when it comes to, I'm like, no, I don't. All I'm doing is pointing things out. I just work here, man. I just hold up a mirror, and you have to want to look in the freaking mirror. That's all I've ever done. And people think that just because you held up the mirror, he must have had a really bad childhood, or his mom didn't love him. Right. Or there's always some like Freudian or, Carl Jungian or Maslowian. Is that a thing? Reason for why do you go against the grain, Rollo Tomassi? Because I don't want to see people die, because let's see, I don't want to see more guys get zeroed out because things aren't what they all seem. And so, you can't go against that without sounding like a, what is this? Atlas shrugged. Yeah. I guess so. Damn it, you guys, I'm trying to keep up. My bad. No. Thank you for the $20 there, Eric. As soon as I can get to it. There it is. Thank you. I try to get to those as quick as I can. Sorry. What is this? What are you talking about? Okay, thanks. Yeah, thank you, Mr. MGTOW. We're all good. I've actually Alpha. Here's the thing. Oh man, he never talks about 80-20. No, dude, go look at my catalog. I have done quite a bit about the Pareto principle. Let's just keep going. Time to step up your game. Oh my God, he's never done anything about 80-20 rule. Dude, go look at my catalog right now. Thanks. Yes, John is he's there too. Okay, thank you very much. So you guys stop. If we call it a sexual marketplace, it only makes sense that we have been marketing ourselves for the internet. Yeah, it does. I think you're 100% right. And a lot of people get weirded out by that, but we have to look at those. We have to look at sexual marketplaces or our intersexual dynamics from the perspective of marketplaces. As men, for sure. Women don't like that. They don't like to. Again, it's the idea that men sort of have a meritorious, I guess, hierarchies of merit, and as a result of that, we tend to think in terms of, like, I would say capital, like market frameworks. Let's just say, whereas women tend to, although women can do that too, they definitely look in terms of status and dominance and hierarchy. They ostensibly would like you to believe that it's all about the feels and it's all about, it's how it makes you feel inside, right? So anyways, Charlie and Ben here are going to be talking about some things. I'm going to sort of riff on what I've seen here. Again, these are pretty short videos. I'll kind of stop and start them a little bit, but I wanted to start with by saying, where the red pill come from. Well, red pill came from really pickup artist beginnings. And I think that a lot of people still think of game in terms of, we think of game in terms of PUA standards of, we're playing games, or we're learning things that are just going to be manipulative, psychologically manipulative techniques that will play on women's, insecurities. And so therefore we're disingenuous in some way. Rollo, your father. Do you have any material where on introducing? Yes, I do. As a matter of fact, Chase, go buy book 3, Positive Masculinity. The first, almost 2/3 of that book is dedicated to exactly what you're talking about, which is red pill parenting. Go check that out. And if paying $13 is too much for you, all that stuff is also available for free on my blog. So there you go. What else? Bless says, Rollo, do you think men of today are a lot more sensitive, emotional, and beta than men of the past? Yes, absolutely. As we're going to find out here in just a moment, we live right now in what I've called the age of ego, age of emotion, age of ego, age of feels before reals, because we have systematically feminized at least the last 4, maybe even 5 generations of men to become more like women. We've changed. Whenever I talk about gynocentrism, try to use that or try to think of that in as abstract a term as possible, because I know a lot of guys put a lot of association with gynocentrism. I'm using that just because it's convenient, but they put a lot of association on that with that word or that term on like MGTOW or MRA or whatever. I used to call it the feminine primary social order, and that's a mouthful. So gynocentrism sounds a lot better, and it's a little bit more convenient. So when I use something like that, I mean the way that certainly Western cultures, Westernizing cultures, prioritize female correctness. And by that, I mean the way of experiencing the world, the way of understanding social, society and interpersonal relationships and interpersonal dynamics. The way that women see those things is the way that we're supposed to see things. Whereas prior to the sexual revolution, it was the other way around. It was the way that men see things. We're more practical. We're more pragmatic. We're more nuts and bolts, right? Say what you mean and mean what you say. That's where the like ideas of honor and duty and that kind of stuff, all that. And I'm not saying that you couldn't be manipulated back then. You certainly could. But I think that we sort of mix those old school, old order thinking up into this new order gynocentrism, and women use it very well right now because women have become the idea of prioritizing a female experience above that of a man's like existential experience. Okay. So the way a man would like innately see the world or would innately process information for himself, like instinct, reason, and then emotion. That used to be, it's cruel and it's horrible. How can you do that? But it was efficient. It was something that was necessary. And it was something that was learned over the course of God knows how long. Well, now we switch things up. So our emotions are what drive our decision making. Our emotions are what drive you want to know why these kids are out there, throwing, fire bombs at the cops and attacking old lady, and yelling at people, just having a nice restaurant, having a nice dinner and outdoor restaurant. You know why? Because of this inability to process emotion. It is, or they are processing it and they're doing exactly what they've been taught, which is express yourself, go crazy. If that's what you feel, then do it. Follow your heart dominates everything, not follow your head. Not follow this, not follow, they want to say, follow science. They don't care about science. If science affirms the emotions, then they're all about it. If it doesn't, well, then that's just pseudoscience. That's just fake. So like when I talk about like blank slate equalism, when we talk about the innate differences between men and women, that if it flatters a woman, then, okay, that's great. If it flatters a woman's innate nature, then they're good with that. As soon as I say, hypergamy is this or that or whatever, something that's unflattering to the feminine nature, that's when they lose their minds, because we prioritize the female experience above the male experience. And we will continue to do that for as long as guys don't want to take over their, reassume their authority. So there you go. There's your big long answer. Your $10 answer. Did you give me? Excuse me. Your 10 British pounds. All right, I'm trying to catch up here. Sorry, guys. Go down here. What do you want? What do you want? $13 isn't much. That's all right. It's good. I was advised by a Red Pill community to skip book 3. Don't. If you want to get into parenting, that's where I talk about Red Pill parenting. So you should. Thank you. There you go. All right, so I'm gonna start digging into this here in just a second, but I wanted to. I have a list of my notes right here for today's show, but I realize I'm gonna get to them as throughout the course of this. Thing. What is this? Being a bully is alpha. Not always, but it can be. The karate dojo teaches bullying is wrong. Does that make karate men less alpha? Stop thinking in terms of actions when it comes to alpha. Think of mindset. So yeah, it is. Kicking someone's ass is definitely alpha. Depends on where your head's at when you're doing it. All right. So bullying, yeah. You know what alpha male primates do to all the beta males? They bully them. They beat the shit out of them because it keeps them from like developing coalitions to take down the alpha. There you go. Sometimes it's not pretty. Here's the next thing. What are you going to do about it? I got into it. Somebody was saying, what was it? Who gave me this? It was I can't remember the name of the rapper, but he had just like, he's only 20 years old and he'd fathered something like 7 or 8 kids already. And I said, alpha status confirmed. And people lost their minds. Okay, he's fathered all these kids. He's 20 years old. I was like, doesn't matter. Corey Worthington, doesn't matter. It's mindset, man. It's where your head's at. Alpha is a mindset. It is not a demographic. So people say, well, oh my God, he's not an upstanding member. He's not an upstanding member of society, and he doesn't, lead at his church and have his own business. He's a common criminal. Yeah, the prisons are full of alpha male common criminals. Yeah, they are. It just remember, it's not the context. Is the guy alpha, is the guy not? And people hate that. I will poke the bear till I'm dead. The alpha bear till I'm dead when it comes to that kind of stuff. All right, stop it. Okay, here. Add this to the stream. Forgive me if this is Charlie, if this is Ben, I don't know. I only saw this one, but I wanted to talk about this because this is a really good starting point for today's show. I'll just shut up and just let these guys go because it's easier if I just simply riff on this stuff because then I'll get point by point when I'm doing this. First of all, my standard caveats apply. I'm not attacking these dudes. All right. I don't even know these dudes. Actually, they seem like, after watching like 2 or 3 of their videos, they seem like pretty cool guys. And I'm actually kind of glad I'm going to go talk to these guys tomorrow. So, and that will be, by the way, noon my time. So noon Pacific would be 3 o'clock Eastern. So 3 o'clock Eastern, I'll be talking to them. I don't know if it's a live stream or not. It might be recorded, but either way, I'll let you guys know when it's on. So there you go. I think this has been. I don't know. I don't know what. So he's coming into this stuff, and I can tell he's read my work. So let me just give you a little bit of a preface here. I know that the guy has read my work in some way because he's using a lot of the terms that I would use, that I have used in my blogs and in my books. When I was checking the comments of a few of these videos, they were saying you really need to get Rollo on the show, blah blah blah. And so I thought, okay, well, let's go have a look at this, and let's. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get to these particular topics tomorrow, so I want to kind of cover them a little bit here today. So that is why I'm doing this, and here we go. Oh, wait 1 second. I need to go take care of the audio because you will get echo, this echo cancellation, and there we go. Nice. Okay.
I think we've talked a little bit about the red pill before. It's a big community of a lot of different beliefs. So I'm just going to address the ones that you're talking about today, which is covert things, planning how to be such that you remain attractive, playing games to make her stay interested. For instance, I would imagine something like leaving her on red on a text to make, even though you know the answers to your plans that night, and even though you might like to text her back to prove that you are high status for it.
Okay. So this is game 101. So I know that, and this is a lot of times when people first encounter the red pill, they want to sort of wipe off all the stuff that they disagree with on really what is old school pickup artistry. Now, when you wait a while to, I'll tell you how I know this is dated, because nobody would say this today. Because texts aren't, I mean, there's text game, yeah, but the wait, how long should I wait, Rollo, before I text her? Should I wait 45 minutes or should I wait a full day or whatever? And it used to be that women did that. And it might not have been like it would have been a message. Do you guys ever, I wrote an essay about that, very short essay, but there was a scene in that movie called Swingers, and the character's name was Mikey, and I can't remember. He met he broke up with his girlfriend. He met some new girl, and he got her phone number, and he was stoked that he got her number, and he left a message on her machine. and then the machine cut him off, right? Because it only had like this was back in the day when you only had so much time on the tape or whatever the machine, and they cut him off. And so the first like message he was putting on there made him sound desperate. So he called back and says, "Oh, hey, this is Mike again. I just met you at the such and such, blah, 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 blah." And it would click. And that was the whole joke, was doing that. And so by the end of the joke or the end of the skit, he had like left like 8 or 9 different messages for this girl that he just met. And the joke, of course, was funny because the guy who he doesn't want to come off as desperate. But by leaving 8 messages, he sounds desperate. Well, there's a 21st century way of doing that, and that's by overplaying the buffer that is text messaging. So when I get into it with like somebody like, say, Myron or John's really, I don't know if he still is, but he was very big on text game for a while. And maybe he still is. I would say he probably still is. Now, the only way I challenged him about that was I said, look, an over-reliance on it can be a buffer. An over-reliance on texting can be a big deal. So what he's talking about, though, is being the prize. And this was something that the early PUAs were suggesting, is that I wouldn't say even PUAs, even Tom Likas said this, was increased value through scarcity. That's from 48 Laws of Power. So seem like you are in demand. You're the guy who other men want to be and other women want to get with. The reason why you do those things is because you give the impression that you have other things going, other options. So whether you have those or not is kind of irrelevant at this point. Like I've always said, it's the best form of peacocking, or the best form of like demonstrating higher value, is to actually be higher value, to actually have other things going for you at the time. But not all guys can do that because they're looking for a way to get from point A to point B. How do I get? Most guys don't really want to have this huge notch count. They're not looking to be like these player supreme, right? They're not looking to have like triple digit notch counts. They just want to have, maybe they want to have a few flings, but for the most part, they're looking for a girlfriend because they're not red pilled. They know game. And understand this now. This is a really great fact and fiction little tidbit here. Understand this right now. There's a big difference between knowing how to be good at game and knowing red pill. When I was talking with let me put myself up here because I'm cool. When I was talking with Myron Gaines, I told him the same thing. I said, there is I try to be the sort of the theory, the red pill side of things, and he's more of the practice. John might be the practice. Troy might be the practice. Tom Torero, Nick Krauser, Christian McQueen, whoever, they're out there doing the practice, but that practice is incomplete without the theory, and the theory is incomplete without the practice. So what his confusion is here, and what a lot of people throw a lot of hate at, and I'll tell you why they do it in just a second, but they throw a lot of hate at the red pill because they don't see the connection between learning game and learning the techniques and the skills and the behavior sets and aping this behavior and the sort of the predictive framework that red pill gives game. They don't see the connection. So when I say, the greatest, as far as I know, one of the greatest living players or the greatest living, PUAs was always Mystery. That's what everybody comes and talks about. Oh, Mystery from Mystery Method. Yeah, he knew his stuff, right? He was really good about it. But yet he was probably up here. He's probably one of the most blue pill guys you ever want to meet because he used that game as a means to get to what he thought his blue pill idealism could exist, what could work for him. So until you sort of change your mind until you unplug, you literally unplug till you say, you reject the blue pill conditioning, you reject when you reject blue pill conditioning, you can't do it in half measures. That's how you get purple pill guys, right? But you can't do it in half measures. And so it's easy for me to say, well, women like jerks. Oh, I got to be a jerk? No, that means you have to harness sort of the mindset of the jerk. You don't have to actually be some sort of like animalistic, son of a bitch, but you have to understand why that him being a son of a bitch works with women. And well, that's horrible. Why does it work with women? Well, it works with women because a red pill theory will tell you what, right? Because of the way that nature and evolution and all this other stuff that goes along with that. Like I said, it's a very complex I guess, I don't know, field of study, let's just say, right? Intersexual dynamics is a very complex field of study, praxeology. And if you are going to unplug yourself from the matrix, if you're going to unplug yourself from the way that you have been taught probably for the most of your life, if you're going to unplug yourself from that, that also means unplugging yourself from the stuff that you really, really like about it. People really, it's easy to say, well, okay, I'll be a jerk. Okay, I'll learn some game. I'll do this kind of stuff. Hey, guilty. I did it myself, right? I learned how to get laid. I learned how to I was domain dependent, of course, when I was doing it, but this is even back in the day before there was any kind of formal game or even any internet to talk about it. But once I'd learned that, the problem is I learned the technique. I learned how to get laid. I just didn't learn why I was still kind of wanting to have the girlfriend or have that monogamy or have this sort of idealized, idyllic situation in a long-term relationship with a woman. And so while I knew game, while I knew how to get laid regularly, it was so predictable. It was easy just became easy, right? But what I was doing was trying to force fit all of that into this very failed, very false framework, which was the blue pill. Oh, be nice to her, be monogamous, do this, support her need, relationships are hard work. Well, all the kind of tropes that you believe about the blue pill, like it's easy to abandon those things. It's harder to abandon the idea that I really want a woman who loves me as much as I love her. That's tough. You can't get that out of the guy. And that takes lots and lots of first of all, you got to get burned. And then second of all, you kind of have to really process the idea that men and women are different. And that's hard for guys to do because they want to have that familiarity. They want to have that association. They've been taught for most of their lives, and still to this day are taught for most of their lives, that they need to get in touch with their feelings. They need to get in touch with their emotional side, their feminine side, whatever the crap is that blank slate equalism and Jungian psychology has taught them is the right way to experience the world, right? What we were just talking about. The correct way to experience the world is through a woman's eyes. It's through her experience. So if you could just as a man be more like a woman, then you'd be more perfected. No, that is something that you have to abandon. That is one of the lies that the blue pill teaches you. And those are really tough things for guys to give up on because there's something that just, it sounds good, man. If you could make it work, it'd be awesome, but it doesn't work. And so when you go red pill, you have to give up, you have to kill the beta, kill the blue pill. Unlearn. I'm going to go Yoda. Unlearn. That's what you have learned. Like that's what you have to do. You have to unlearn that stuff. And that's, it takes time. And most guys, especially in the TLDR generation, they just don't have that patience anymore. They want the pill. They want the magic pill. They want the red pill, right? They want I think that's one of the worst things about calling it the red pill is because it seems like, oh, it's a formula. It's a magic pill. You take the pill and then suddenly your life is better. No, you're aware of how shitty your actual life is. And you've got a lot of freaking work. You got a lot of digging to do. You got a lot of deep digging to do or to get yourself out of that. But people would rather have the cheat codes or I want to play the game on God mode. There is no God mode. You get out. You don't get to be a black belt from being a white belt overnight. So, and I think that's one of the things that's really frustrating, particularly for the younger generation, because they don't have the attention span. They don't understand hard work. They don't know. These kids don't understand hard work. No, they do, but they just don't want to do it. So anyways, I don't want to pontificate for too long there, but the thing is that when it comes to unplugging, when you're giving up on your blue pill ideals, you have to cut them. You cut yourself off completely from that stuff, because the longer you dwell and say, well, can I please have my security blanket from my blue pill days? I really want this security blanket. No, you have to pull the security blanket away from the little kid. So the little kid matures and he grows and he becomes somebody. He becomes a man at some point. That's what you have to do. And you know what your security blanket is? It's the ideals that you've been taught from the time you were a little boy, that this is the way, Johnny, this is what Disney and Pixar are going to tell you how a good human should be, right? Instead of a good man. Boys won't be boys. They'll be good humans because you're a bad human right now. So if you act and you behave and you think like women do, or like little girls do, then that's the correct way to think. You don't have any friends? Why don't you have any friends? Well, you don't have any friends because you're a big meanie and you don't think like Sally does over here. Look, Sally has lots and lots of friends. You don't have any friends. If you thought more like a girl, then you would have friends and you would feel better. No, that's not how it works. That's not how it works for boys. That's not how it works for men. But that's the way we're taught is the correct way to interpret society, our environment, girls, our family, marriage, whatever, your work, how your finances, be serviceable. Yeah. Well, you have to give up those things. You have to cut yourself off from that. If you don't cut yourself off from like entirely from your blue pill way or your blue pill conditioning that taught you to think in a certain way, if you don't fully unplug from the matrix, you'll always be stuck in some way in that thinking. And you will be trying to you cannot use red pill. You can't achieve blue pill ideals in a red pill paradigm because the blue pill ideals are false. You can create new, really great ones in the red pill paradigm. That's what I keep trying to say. I wrote a whole essay about this. It's called New Hope, and you can find that New Hope essay in, I think I put it in book 2. It's at the end of book 2, which is preventive medicine. And I had so many guys, like I refer to it as the abyss. Like you have to cross the abyss. That's why you want to know why black pill doomer kids can't think of anything else and they want to slit their throats because it's all gloom and doom. I'll never. It's like what was it? A Beavis and Butthead. Thank you for getting that for me, Sam. We're never gonna score. That's where we laugh at that, but that's sort of that angst, right? Like we're never gonna score. We're never gonna score. And so you got that kind of angst going on. And until you can cross over and say, you know what, if I just simply the stuff that the blue pill, the stuff that this sort of feminine gynocentric society has taught me is the right way to think and the right way to behave, or the right goals to have are all informed by the blue pill, are all informed by gynocentrism. Once you realize that, you cut yourself off from that and you move over into a red pill paradigm because you're red pill aware and it becomes part of who you are, not a game, not an act, not a pickup artist routine, but it becomes actually your second nature. Once that happens, then you're like, oh, then you will see the opportunities that exist in a red pill paradigm. And they're way, way better. But just by the very nature that you have an informed understanding of what's going around and what your game that you're in right there, just that you have that even knowledge, just that you're red pill aware puts you ahead of the game. Way far ahead of the game of trying and striving for these blue pill ideals and blue pill goals that are never going to happen for you, or if they do, the price is so high and that as to be not worth pursuing. So you have to make that complete cut. You have to cross the abyss. If you don't, you will be stuck. You'll be black pill. You'll be doomered. You'll be black, whatever you want to call it. I'm a doomer. Okay, well, I guess that's where you're going to be at. I don't have time for that. I don't have time for doomers. I don't have time for guys who want to commiserate. You want to go ahead, you want to move forward, then you have to cut yourself off from that blue pill ideal. Give that up, and then look for the opportunities in a red pill paradigm and use them to your advantage. Leverage those to your advantage. Sorry, I got on my freaking pulpit and now I have to continue. I told you this is short and I'm going to end up making it very, very long. You guys are killing me with these right now. Hang on. Alpha Male says, my observation is sons and daughters of gamma males become more masculine regardless of gender. Apparently, this is how society. Well, I'm glad that's your observation. Thanks. Aussie Guitar Man, can you still want monogamy? You can still want monogamy, sure, and be red pill. I think so. Absolutely. Are they exclusive? Are they exclusive pill? Okay, so a lot of people will ask me this too. They'll say, well, what about red pill and monogamy? Remember that monogamy as we think of it today is not what we used to think of it. The monogamy that is post-sexual revolution is not the same monogamy as pre-sexual revolution. So we're still clinging to an old order way of thinking about monogamy right now. We have done a very good job, I would say, over the past 50, 55 years of destroying that old model of monogamy, while still, women would very much like the responsibilities that are part of that monogamy for men, but they don't want to give men the authority that is necessary to have really a balanced patriarchal monogamy. So you'll see things like, that's why you want to know why poly, and particularly poly where there's one woman and many men. So it's really polyandry, I guess. Although it's not, it's one man and lots of women. So it's really, polygamy. But it's polygamy in that women want polygamy. Like it's a mutually desired polygamy. Like women will gladly share an alpha rather than be saddled with a faithful beta. You want to know why women hate beta males? They hate beta males. They hate blue pill men. They hate gamma males. They hate them so thoroughly that they will cater their lives. They will mold their lives into they will take on like soul destroying jobs to avoid having to deal with you, to avoid having to marry a beta male. That's the depth of that, what I call the existential fear for women. They hate beta males to such a degree that they will spend most of their lives and take on exorbitant debt to avoid having to actually get with the beta male. And then when they get there, they go, where are all my alphas? Where are all the guys who are better? How come there's no good men? Rollo, where are all the nice men? Where are all the good guys? Back in your 20s where you left them. That's where they are. Can you be red pill? And you can be red pill and monogamous. There's plenty of guys who are awakened well married. They've been monogamous for a long time and they're now red pill aware. You can be a blue pill alpha. You can be a red pill alpha. You can be a blue pill beta, and you can be a you can be a red pill beta as well. It's aware. Remember, red pill is just an awareness. It's understanding things. It doesn't, just because you're red pill doesn't mean you use it. It means you're aware. Every doomer I've ever met is definitely red pill. I've said this before. It's like even MGTOWs, which I'm not conflating MGTOWs with incels. Okay. Every MGTOW I've ever met is very much red pill. They get the analysis right. And where do they get that? It didn't magically happen to some, Sandman didn't make up red pill. Okay. Red pill existed long before Sandman decided he wanted to put his voice on YouTube. Red pill's been around for a long time. It's been developing. It's still developing. That's a great thing about red pill, is that it's a loose science. And so it's in constant, we have new understanding all the time. And I think as again, it's multidiscipline kind of field, I guess. So can you be? No, yeah, you can be monogamous and be red pill. You can be monogamous and blue pill. What you really want to ask me is, can I be an alpha and still being married? You can, but it's really tough. Do you want to keep doing it? It's like one of those things where it's like, how dedicated are you to it? That's really what it comes down to. Chase says, not only do you have to unlearn the blue pill, you need to be around blue pilled people everywhere and keep yourself essentially quiet or prepared to be ostracized and be belittled, right? And belittled. Yes. Thank you very much. And what else? Mike says, recently listened to the podcast by Dr. Sherman and God's new book. They spent 2 hours discussing what should have been red pill theory. Are they unaware of or afraid to address the truth? I'm glad you brought that up, Mike. They're afraid to. I love God's Odd. I think if I really want to have him on here, you guys already know that I love Marty Hazelton. When he did the interview with Marty Hazelton, that was absolutely one of the best things I've ever seen. If you haven't seen that, go to God's channel and just like type in Hazelton, Haselton. It's Marty Hazelton. She is a prominent researcher in ovulatory shift. Evolutionary psychology. He is an evolutionary psychologist, and he is probably one. If there's a red-pilled evolutionary psychologist, God's it. But again, I love God, and I love me some Jordan Peterson in the early days. I think now things have sort of, so that we see where the cards have kind of shook out with Jordan Peterson. He's not really an evolutionary psychologist. But there's guys that really frustrate me, and God is not, he doesn't frustrate me so much as the rest of these guys, which is like, if I look at like Jeff Miller, or I look at David Buss, or I look at Steven Pinker's another one of these guys, Dr. Warren Farrell, who's not necessarily a Evo Psych guy, but he's one of these guys, like these researchers, the guys who have a doctorate in front of their names. and maybe they work as a professor or maybe whatever. They've written some books. They're online like anybody else. They're trying to a brand of me, right? They're trying to, like, Godsod has a brand of me, just like anyone else has a brand of me. And they have to be conscious of that brand of me, because today it's easy to get canceled. So when I see stuff like that and it sounds very, very red pill, and people go, wow, it'd be great if Rollo was talking to these guys. Yeah, it would. But the problem is that I would go places that they can't go, or that they're unwilling to go, because it sounds sexist. It sounds misogynist. It sounds wrong. And I'll ask, even if I just asking the questions makes it sound wrong. So if I'm asking a question about like hypergamy and how like, I would probably ask some questions that, that would really be some red meat for the doom pill. And then you go, yeah, Rollo, he's on our team. No, I'm really not on your team. I'm just, pointing out some obvious things. And so I get really frustrated by guys like that, because they have the truth right in front of them. They have the forensic evidence. It's like they've got the body, they've got the smoking gun, they've got the confession, they've got the killer dead to rights, and you know what they go, let him go free. Or like when Dr. Pinker did his gender differences TED talk, and he was talking about, it's where I pull the idea that, men tend to be more into things and women tend to be more into people, right? This is easily statistically proven, right? We can see that women have a better facility for communication. Men have better facility with rational things like mathematics or, spatial abilities or throwing a rock. We have natural proclivities. Women have their natural proclivities. And when you say all this stuff, yeah, great. Oh, awesome. And then at the end of the talk, but I'm really a feminist and all of this doesn't make any difference. What? Well, then why are you even here? If you don't want to rattle any cages, then why give a speech at all? Then why, if you're not going to challenge people's, and for Christ's sake, Dr. Steven Pinker wrote The Blank Slate, The Modern Denial of Human Nature. And what happens at the end of his gender differences? Oh, well, I'm really a feminist, so please don't fire me. And that was one of the first things that came out during the cancel culture thing. I think it was back in May or June. He painted a big target on himself, and people tried to get him kicked out of whatever, and it's all bullshit. I mean, yeah, I would defend him for that too, but defend the ideas. At least defend the ideas. If you're going to go and do that kind of radical study and you're going to complain about, how you could cancel culture and all this other stuff, then stop apologizing to it. It's one of those guys that frustrates me, because if they go right up to the edge and then they go back from the no. Wait, no. And that's what's really frustrating about. And maybe that's the void I feel, because I don't have to worry about losing my tenure for bringing stuff up like that. What did you say, Bless? Bless said, what do you think of Corey Wayne's coaching? Is it red pill? Honestly, I don't know enough about it to give you an educated answer. I do know he's got a brand of me. You know what? You tell me, man. Why don't you guys tell me? I'm not the one who's going to take coaching from Corey Wayne. Maybe some of you have. I don't know. I don't know what I know he sells success porn. I do know that. And by success porn, I mean, it's like, here, buy my book on Gumroad or whatever. It's sales funnel stuff. It's launch, right? It's launch product formula, or what is it? I forget what product launch formula. Yeah. Okay. Well, you guys have to tell me that. I don't know. I'm not buying his course, so I wouldn't know. But I don't know. You guys tell me, because I know that there's a lot of guys who lift my material and they go and then make a program out of it. I don't know if he's one of them or not. I'm not saying he is. I don't know. I don't know him from Adam. So, Rollo, I read book 1 and 2, and about 3 weeks ago, I feel like it has given me permission to be the man I've been repressing for so long. Good. Now do something with it. Builds. You know what? That's awesome for you, Matt. And here's what I want you to do. Show me what you built. Here's all these tools. Man, I can't believe it. I can't actually build the guy I wanted to be. Great. Show me what you build. because I want to see what how that hammer works and the nails and all this other crap. That show me how it worked for you. The best compliment you can give me is to show me what you did with it. Seriously. Okay, I got to get back to this. Hold on. This is fun. This is more fun than this.
Totally not worth it. Totally not worth it. So even if that works, what you wind up, the prize for you at the end of the day is someone who you have to play games with and doesn't like you when you're expressive in how you truly feel. It becomes a job to maintain attraction. And what you get out of it is someone who doesn't really want to be with you. They want to be with the fake you that you've created who doesn't respond to texts and jerks them around. All
right. So this is, they're going to get into the lie of individuation here in just a second, but this is the common, it's all an act. And if you want to know how I know everything that comes out in this video, I was like predicting, okay, he's going to talk about this. He's going to talk about this next. Because these are the predictable things. Like, it's all an act. Well, first of all, you're not talking about red pill. You're talking about game. The difference between red pill and game. Red pill is an awareness. It's an understanding, and how you use it, how you employ it is game. So yes, red pill informs game. Game informs red pill. Game is the theory. Excuse me. Red pill is a theory. Game is a practice. And so you go out in the field, you figure things out, and you wonder what. So what he's not saying, and maybe he will here in a minute, and most guys will come to he'll kind of like touch on this, but he'll ignore it. It's usually, well, game wouldn't be a thing, or you wouldn't be worried about it, or you wouldn't be concerned that it was a manipulation, or you're being a fake or inauthentic, whatever you want to call it. You wouldn't worry about that if it didn't work. But game does work, and that's what throws people off. I've got an essay called The 5 Stages of Unplugging, and one of those is called acceptance. And it's like the 5 stages of grief. There's one that's acceptance. I think it's 4 or 5 is acceptance. I'm not sure. Maybe it's 4. Anyways, so the acceptance part of killing. You want to know why the 5 stages of unplugging are exactly like have a parallel to the 5 stages of grief, or accepting your own death, or accepting the death of someone else? It's because you're killing your blue pill self. Because your blue pill self, who you used to be, is dead. And now you're mourning the loss of that because you don't know what to do. You have to find, you'll go into denial. That maybe he's in the denial stage right now, but eventually he'll get to the point where he's got to accept the fact that game works. And what's even more horrifying to a blue pill mindset more horrifying than game works is why it works. Why? Because that's women's nature. Why does game work? Why is it that when I adopt dark triad personality traits, or even if I can fake them very well, why is it that I seem to get laid and women really love that? Why? Because that's their nature, because that's what that's not really what I'm about. Doesn't make any difference. Hypergamy doesn't care whether it's fake or it's real. Doesn't care if you're authentic. And she'll eventually find out that you're really not who you are. Yeah, yes. That's why you spin plates, man. At least in the early days, and that's why you're non-exclusive. Yeah. I mean, so what do you do? Like, fake it till you make it, right? Okay. Well, what he's going to get into here, and maybe I'll talk about this tomorrow, is the internalization process. You have to internalize. You have to be the game. Again, I'll use this example one more time. I don't game my wife. Okay. People read my book. She has read my book. She understands what I'm about. She understands all, but I don't game her. Whenever I encounter like a shit test or whatever, I am the game, right? My personality is to be that way, right? To react and respond in those ways, because that's what I expect from her as a woman. That's what she expects from me as a man. And that's, wow, amazing when we accept like who we really are as men and women in an innate, natural state. Imagine that. We tend to have some pretty good complementary relationships when we do that. Again, my marriage is not an example for you. My results do not imply future success, whatever the saying is. But it's the question of authenticity. And I get this all the time from this new freaking crop of guys who want to be life coaches or MGTOW coaches or red pill coaches or Corey Wayne, right? Red pill coach guy, 33 secret guy, whatever, it's like, it seems fake and it seems phony, but the thing is, first of all, it works. And second of all, what's authentic? Authentic is what you like. For instance, if you didn't know who I was and you met me for the first time, and I came off like really like sulky, and your first impression of me was like really passive and like a church mouse, and you would think my personality is like that. So the next time you saw me and I'm like in your face and all about you and whatever, your impression of me would be based on what you knew of me before. Who's the authentic one? The church mouse guy or the guy who's all up in your grill? Who's the authentic one? Well, I'll tell you what will happen is guys will say, oh, it's the first one. It's the church mouse guy. It's the passive blue pill beta guy. Not that guy. Because you know why? Because when you are another person, when you're somebody who is sort of more in your face and more dominant, and you're presuming like your dominant conversations physically, space, whatever, you're adopting these behavior sets that make you more imposing, that give off alpha tells, right? When you do that, people hate that. Like, well, other men hate that, I shouldn't say. Women love it, but other men hate it because we instinctively, our hindbrains interpret that as a challenge or conflict. And most men, 85+% of men, are conflict avoidant. And so rather than having to fight you, they'll go, stop being a poser. Why are you like this? This is not really who you are. Who hurt you? Tell me about your childhood. Because they think that's, if we're all supposed to be living in a female correct society, in we're supposed to judge our experiences through a female lens, that'll be the first thing that comes out, because that's the only way you can diffuse that. So, and so pull that power away from them. Say, yeah, that's not really who you are, man. Stop trying to be somebody you're not. Well, who gets to decide whether I'm authentic? Somebody else or me? Do I get to decide what it is? So what they're worried about is they're worried that not red pill, but that game is teaching guys to be these sort of inauthentic losers, inauthentic guys who are just faking it, because women's instinctual existential fear is that a man who is a beta male would ever be able to get laid with a woman and impregnate her and then leave her. Because most men today are so feminized that they adopt that female existential fear as their own. And they use that as sort of a form of sexual competition. So when they say you're not being yourself, or you're an inauthentic man, I'm an authentic man, women should want me. And then they wonder why women don't want them, because they don't display those characteristics that the guy who learned game and is faking it and is inauthentic, that guy's the one getting laid and you're not. Because what you're doing is you're saying, well, at least I have my integrity, and at least I am who I am, and women should really want me. And then what you do is you get into this cycle of qualification. Well, if they don't see me for the quality dude that I am, then they must be low quality women too. So they deserve each other. Like, it's this circular logic that keeps going around, and it's all based on one thing: who's authentic and who's not. And men get really upset when a guy is inauthentic but still gets laid. Everything that guy does seems like, oh man, this guy is a fake and a fun. How could she be into this guy? Hypergamy doesn't care. It's the perception. Maybe later on, maybe when you get into a monogamous relationship. And what was I asked a minute ago? Was it Ozzy Man? Yeah, Ozzy Guitar Man said, what about monogamy? Great question in this respect, because we're supposed to think that monogamy is the end state. That is our end goal. Well, no woman who would want to get married with you would want an inauthentic man. Yeah. And that's why guys, when they get to that point where they have been they'll hit me up like 4 years after marriage. They'll go, Rollo, I lost the frame. We used to have sex in the backseat of a car. We used to go have sex out in the mountains. She would blow me in the bathroom, and it was just crazy, funky monkey sex all the time. And now I don't get any. It's all starfish and it's all bullshit. I lost the frame. How do I get it back? Because she found out who you are. You're not the guy that you're the, oh my God, I had sex with the beta instead of the alpha, and now I'm locked in guy. And that's what your sex life is going to look like until you can in some way bring back all of those characteristics that this guy is telling you are inauthentic, or whoever, I'm going to pick on him, but other guys are telling you are inauthentic. So you have to internalize the game. You have to be the game. I don't game my wife. It is who I am. It's part of my second nature, right? I call it second nature, right? It's intrinsic to my personality, so that when I'm dealing with women, it doesn't have to be my wife. It could be my daughter, it can be female coworkers, it could be my poor girls, it can be whoever I'm using. That's what I default to. Always default to game, always default to red pill, and it gets to the point where that's just who you are. So it's no longer about like, well, let me look at my notes here and see. Well, she gave me a shit test, so let me hold on. Let me consult my notes here, and it says that I should say this, or I have these options. And option A is, option B is. That's not what happens, but that's what they want you to think, so that you won't learn game, so that you will think that it will be inauthentic to you. Game is as authentic as you make it for yourself. It is as authentic as you are willing to like internalize it as part of who you are. And you do yourself no favors by going, oh, it's like anti-game, right? You can apologize for having no game, but that's not game, right? And you can think that by calling people out for being inauthentic is in any way going to put you ahead of the game. It doesn't. That's relational equity. I'm so cool. I'm too cool to learn game. I'm actually a doctor. I'm actually a surgeon. I'm actually a made partner in the law team. Good for you. But if you're still, clinging to your blue pill beta mindset, it does. All you are is a mark at that point. If you go, well, I made a lot of myself and I'm an authentic guy and I volunteer at the church and I'm a legal advisor for this and I make six figures and awesome. That you're authentic. You're really authentic, but it makes no difference if you're blue pill and you're relating to women in terms of what the blue pill has taught you. You know what, you become a big fish at that point. You're the guy that at 30, when a woman wants to cash out and get off the cock carousel, you are Prince fucking Charming, man. Oh man, yeah, you've been here all along. I wish I would have. I wish I would have found you earlier so I could love you more. Get the fuck out of here. Okay, sorry. There goes my monetization, but it was worth it. Oh, man.
On the other hand, this is the other thing with
can I play devil's advocate? Yeah. So I agree with you. Start with that, right? But just for making a more interesting conversation, I'll devil's advocate you. So what about the idea?
I think this is Charlie.
Once she gets to know the real me, she'll like me, and I can stop playing games. But to start with, I have to leave her on red and try to manipulate her into thinking I'm busy or thinking more about me, because she isn't going to initially like me unless I play these games. But once she does and we've hooked up a couple of times, I'll just stop the games, because then we'll have a real connection. Yeah. So what's the counter to that?
I mean, do you want to take it?
No. Well, sure, if you want.
Go for it. I think you know the answer.
Yeah, well, so I guess a couple things. One is that there's a lot of things. One is you start to condition behaviors in people, right? So like we went out once with a woman who's super sweet. I was being really sarcastic and kind of a dick because I was just in a mood. I'd just gone through a breakup like the day before. Mm-hmm. I brought out a horrible sarcastic side of her, and that is the frame. That's our relationship now. So she's like really sweet with you, really sweet with Henry, and then really sarcastic with me because it's like this monster I co-created, right? So I think that's in there. Two, your initial attraction. I mean, there is something to this, that you can lie your way into having sex with someone, right? But not in a way that's going to be sustainable. Like if you have to lie and play these games in order to get laid, you will get laid. But ultimately, once you stop, she's not going to like who you actually are. And so
okay, so that's always been the concern. That's what most guys really they're overly concerned with this. So I'm sorry. You guys said it was echoing. Is it echoing right now? Because I'm kind of noodling around. Was it StreamYard just gave us like two new little things? Is it echoing right now? Because I don't hear it echoing. Tell me if it's echoing. Is it echoing? Scott says it's echoing. Hang on, let me switch over here real quick. I'm going to put the echo cancellation. How about now? I put echo cancellation on. My voice is fine. Okay, my voice is fine, but no, just the video. Okay, well, I'll see what I can do. I'll flip it over to the other setting for the video here in just a second. So give me a second. Anyways, well, when I come back to it, anyway. So that's the thing, is there's this really horrible concern that they're going to get found out. Why is there a concern that guys are going to, well, I don't want to be inauthentic, because if I do, then I'll get all wrapped up in this girl and I'll develop feelings for her. And then she'll find out that I'm really, a basement dwelling nerd who just happened to be able to say the right things. And then that's usually what a lot of guys, when they come into this and they're learning, because these guys aren't talking about red pill. They're talking about game. It's not so much like, I think a lot of guys back in the early days, they were worried that if guys learned this, they would turn to like, Neil Strauss called them social robots in the game. That was his like last remaining concern, I think, with the guys who were learning game so well back in 2002, 2001, 2002, 2000. Well, let's see, it published in 2005. So it would have been between like say 2002 and 2005. Was worried that they were going to turn into social robots, that all they were going to do is just, learn these routines so well that they would never have to, like, they would just be robots. Like they would just be, okay, I'm supposed to say this when she says this. And it was never about like authenticity then. It was more about like a concern that all this crap actually works on women. So let's say this. So what you're doing right now, and this is, I'm going to quote Mystery here. You will only get what you've gotten if you keep doing what you've done. Just be yourself is bullshit. And it has been bullshit for a long time. You have to be the best version of yourself. Yeah, you do. And it's better that you become something more than you are. But that's the whole thing. Because for so long, we've said, oh, well, it doesn't matter what's on the outside. Members on the inside, she'll love you. Sooner or later, the right girl's going to come along for you. No, she's not, because you're not the right guy for her at that point. Roosh was talking about this on, I think he wrote an essay recently about how guys don't deserve their dream girls right now. No, most of them don't, because they're not the guys who could get those chicks in the first place. I wrote an essay called Dream Girls and Children with Dynamite. And when you give these guys the keys to the castle or the keys to the Lamborghini or whatever, it doesn't mean they can drive. If the guy's a white belt and you tie a black belt around him and you go, okay, you know everything, go in there and fight a real black belt. No, you're going to get your ass kicked. You're getting maybe even worse, right? Because you don't know what the hell you're doing. But you think you do. Or maybe you've been given you've been given all of this access and you don't know what to do with it, and you don't have the learned experience that helps you to be good at it, first of all. And then second of all, you don't have the learned experience to make you a master. You're just called a master. And it might be successful and it might work for you, but you don't know what you get into trouble. Guys will get into, I've seen this happen time and time again, where guys will learn game and they'll get involved. They'll use that game because this is what their original purpose was anyways, was to use that game to get their dream girl. And the fact that their dream girl is this completely damaged, borderline personality disordered, nut job who, is crazy in bed and crazy out. It has they don't care. I just got what I wanted. That's what I wanted to do. Well, now you don't have the mastery of that. Wouldn't know whether or not that person is somebody that you even want to be with. You want another reason why I say spin plates. Oh, we should all go for monogamy. No, you should spin plates, because if you don't, you're going to get used. You're going to be a mark. And so maybe you can do those things, and maybe you can ape the behaviors of the hot guy in the foam cannon party. But then what? Well, for most guys, it's they can't dissociate themselves because they're still sort of locked in that blue pill way of thinking. So they can't dissociate themselves from what they were taught is the right way to go about things, which is serial monogamy. Well, I get a girlfriend. Well, I got the hottest girlfriend I've ever had. That's even worse, because now the game that was preventing you when you didn't have it was preventing you from getting to that point. Now that's not a barrier. You finally got your dream girl and she's the hottest piece of ass you've ever had. You will do anything for that girl. Now all that blue pill conditioning comes rushing back to the front. Oh, well, I got it. You want to talk about scarcity mentality? It's one thing if you're blue pill and you got laid and you found a girlfriend who's like your one and only and she's your soulmate and you're still blue pill and you got her while you're still blue pill and you didn't know game. That's one thing. It is far worse when you're blue pill and you're an incel or whatever. You're very unsuccessful, let's say, in the sexual marketplace. Suddenly, all those barriers are gone, or most of them are gone. Let's just say, because you learn game. And then you get with the hottest girl you've ever gotten with, all of the stuff that you were going to do as a blue pill guy anyways, all of that is like intensified by 100%, like 100 times. Because now if you lose her, you lose everything. You lose the hottest piece of ass you ever, you lose the Playboy centerfold that you've been fantasizing about since you were 12 years old or whatever you fantasize about. But you had her. I got the idea. I got the pinnacle. I got the apex of hottest hotties. And it's not even so much about like showing it off to your buddies. It's the fact that you really wanted to have a sexual experience with that girl because she represents the apex of sexual experiences. And then when you get into that situation, then I'll do anything for you, baby. You want to know why all of these guys are simping for women and like giving them, was it $4,000 or taking out small, small business loans so that the girls will pay attention to them? Those guys, because the barrier, OnlyFans removes that barrier in the same way that game removes a barrier for some guys. They don't have the red pill awareness. They don't have the red pill theory. I just want the game. I don't want to be authentic. Authenticity. Who cares? I just want to get because I know I'm authentic. And as soon as I get laid and as soon as we're having sex and as soon as we're intimate together, she'll love me for me. No, she won't because her attraction cues and her arousal cues and everything else that go along with that. She thinks she thinks you get it and then realizes later that you just don't get it. That's a really tough place to be. Most guys, when they get zeroed out, that's usually where it's at. Or that, God forbid, you have kids with her. And oh my God, I had kids with this guy and I thought he just got it. I thought he was who he said he was and he's not really who he says he is. That's the fear. So yeah, I mean, the red pill is about becoming the best version of yourself as you can be, but you have to kill the beta. You have to kill off that old blue pill self. And with that, you have to kill off all of those old blue pill goals and dreams and dream girl. No, you get rid of that. You want to live a better life. That's a first step. I always say this, like guys will ask me, well, what's the first step of becoming red pill? Mental point of origin. Yes. Become your mental point of origin. But the heart, like that's easy. Like, oh, okay. I just have to start thinking about myself first when I make a decision. Yeah. Well, okay. But those decisions that you're coming to or that you're contemplating, if they're in a blue pill framework, it doesn't make any difference whether you think of yourself or not. You're still thinking in an old paradigm. You're still thinking in old order ways of thinking that have been pounded into your little boy head since you were like 5 years old, and you have to give those up. Most people don't want to give those up. What is this? Yeah. Dude, the amount of time Christian Matico says, I've simped over insane women because I thought they were the one is countless. Yeah. And it's worse when when you're game savvy, right? When you're game proficient, but you're not red pill aware, or you're not living in a red pill paradigm. You're still living in your blue pill paradigm. That's why I said children with dynamite. I stole that line. Sorry, from who was it? From Ross Jeffries. Ross Jeffries said one time of the guys in Mystery Method was like, these guys are giving dynamite to children because it's like, it'll blow you up. It's fun and it's cool. And I got a lighter and I got dynamite. All right. Yeah. Okay. You'll blow yourself up. You'll shoot your eye out, kid. And that's what a lot of them did, including Mystery himself, because he was still living in a blue pill paradigm and got to the point where he was, I don't think he killed himself, but where he was suicidal. Because he was game proficient, a game master of game, to a point where he could teach it to other guys, but very still blue pill thinking. And I'm going to use this game, this new way of thinking, this new understanding of intersexual dynamics, and I'm going to use it to get my blue pill dreams come true. No, you're not. You're going to light that stick of dynamite and it's going to blow up right in your face. Okay. I'm going, oh, you know what? Hold on. Before I do this, I'm going to set this on audio and I'm going to click off of that and I'm going to put stereo audio on. Tell me if it echoes this time. Okay. Hang on. I don't think it will.
Madoff, applied to sexual
Yeah.
relationships.
And
you can trick people.
Yeah.
like,
and
that's
so,
possible.
like you've tricked your way into sex. Now you're acting like who you actually are. She's not going to like who you actually are because she decided she liked someone that you were pretending to be, and she'll start to resent you and just treating you badly or breaking up with you. So while you can get what you might be aiming at, which is sex one time, I would suggest that what you're aiming at is going to ultimately lead to more unhappiness than happiness.
Okay, hold on. Are you guys, oh, should I mute my mic? Is that what you're saying? Oh, okay. Let's try that. Hold on. I'm going to mute my.
Because you're going to end up with a huge headache and a relationship that doesn't work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The that's the crux of it for me. Is I'm familiar with some of this stuff and the games that you have to play, and otherwise it's treated almost as if you don't play these games, she's gonna lose interest in you, cheat on you, move on to someone else. And I think that might become true for the type of person who constantly plays games, because the only people that stay around them are people who are tolerant and respond to those games. It's like you're almost filtering for someone who responds.
Well, you filter out the person who thinks.
All right. So apparently it's muting my mic. So I wanted to just chime in there really quickly. You said slight echo. Okay, I'm going to try another setting here. I got two settings now, and then you can actually unset both of them if you want to. So StreamYard's done some really squirrely things with the audio. Sorry. That's what I get for taking one damn day off, right? So this is the crisis of motive is what this is. Crisis of motive is an essay, and it's not in any book. I don't think I put this in any book. Pretty sure I did. Crisis of motive is this. What do you do things for? Why do you do things that you do? Are you doing them for yourself because they're intrinsically rewarding, or are you doing them because you receive praise and affirmation, not only for your beliefs and everything, but also for who you are as a person, who you think you are, what you do as a person, let's just say. Why are you doing them? Well, I think it's okay to say both. There's nothing wrong with going to the gym because you want to look good and you want to be jacked and you want to lift heavy things and you want to, if a bear attacks you, you want a decent chance at survival and you do it for you, right? That's a legitimate answer, but don't at the same time say, well, I don't do it because I want to get laid. No, you do. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with it being both of those answers. You can't, that's a crisis of motive. I actually, that was one example of two. The original example was this, is I had a poor girl who was telling me about how she loved to wear lingerie out to clubs. And I go, yeah, you want guys to look at you and blah, blah, blah. And she's like, no, I do this for me, right? That's what I do this for me. This is for my own empowerment and my own edification. No. So I told her this. I said, so if I come over to your house at 4:00 in the afternoon and you're vacuuming the house, you're going to be in your lingerie because that's personally edifying for you because you're just doing it for you. Well, no. Yeah, that's what I mean. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just like, be honest with yourself. At least, accept that it can be both. Like, you want guys to look at you. You want to be sexy. You want to find the guy who's going to be your alpha for that night or for whenever. So that comes back to authenticity one more time. Well, if she finds out who you really are, you're screwed. How about this? You're actually who you really are, and you're the guy that is arousing to her, and you are the guy who has those traits. The reason why, okay, I guess this guy is Ben, right? You guys told me that this guy's Ben. So Ben is playing devil's advocate here. He's kind of like, I've seen some other videos. He's really kind of blue pill, but I guess Charlie is a little bit more red pill, or at least he's the one that's doing the research. Let's just say. And so when I listen to him, it's usually sort of the rationalizations that I hear are what I would predict would come from a guy who's still sort of stuck in that blue pill paradigm, because he knows what it's supposed to be true. What Oprah and Dr. Phil and what's the other guy? dude from K-Rock. I can't remember his name. Dr. Whatever. Pop psychology. The APA, right? What should be true? It should be this way. You should just be able to be honest with yourself, and you should just be who you are. Just be yourself, and she'll love you, because you don't want to have, because if she's like that, then you're just attracting these women to you who are damaged. Well, damaged is an easy cop out. That's a cope. All women are damaged. I can tell you reasons why my wife is damaged, or why this girl's damaged, or why my coworker is damaged, or whatever. I can like, somebody says something that like kind of like, well, that's kind of screwed up. Doesn't mean they're damaged. It doesn't mean so. Oh, who hurt you? It doesn't. No, that's the first thing you're asked when you're a guy, because it's easier to do that. It's easier to say that than it is to say who hurt you to a woman, because women we presume they're victims. But if you say who hurt you, what that says to the guy, or that statement, nobody cares who hurt you. Nobody cares about, oh, why you're so bitter. What was it that made you like this? Nobody cares. The reason why you're being asked that is because you're being compared to a woman, because only women get to be victims. And if I presume you're already a victim by saying who hurt you, because you must have been a victim, right? Because you wouldn't be like this. You wouldn't complain. Men are not allowed to complain. We're supposed to be competent. We're supposed to be strong all the time, until such time as we're trying to talk about how vulnerability is strength. But yet that's the first thing out of most women's mouth, or most like feminized men's mouth. Who hurt you? How did you get to this point? Well, why is that your presumption? It's your presumption because you are still in a blue pill paradigm that has taught you that guys who go against the female imperative, who go against that narrative, there has to be something wrong with them. And it's not about trying to get to the bottom of things. Well, what it is it's a form of disqualification. So if you were hurt by, like, I say this, why can't I just be the guy who just is holding up a mirror? I'm not hurt. I've been in a very successful relationship for almost 25 years now. I've been married for 24. I've been with my wife for 25. I've had my ups and my downs like anybody else, but there was never, I could say, well, my brother-in-law, hanging himself was certainly a catalyst at some point, but it's because I wanted to help, not because I got hurt. But they don't want that. They don't want to hear that, because anything that goes against that narrative goes against their ego investments in it. Because remember what I said about ego investments is that when you invest yourself in a belief so thoroughly, it becomes part of your personality, that when anything challenges those beliefs, even if you don't know that those beliefs are being challenged, your natural default, your reflexive default will be to defend that belief, because it's an attack not on the belief, it's an attack on your personality. Because if it's so much a part of who you are, remember we was talking about internalizing things. If it's so much a part of who you are, you will defend it without even know that you're defending it. You will say who hurt you as a defense. Because if I say, well, you must be wrong, there must be something wrong with you, something screwed you up, so tell me what it was. What you're doing when you say that is you're presuming that you are in the correct. You are in the correct framework, and that I am not, or whoever you're saying who hurt you. So and that right there is, and it's an ego defense, but it's an ego investment defense. So if my personality is dependent on women's experience and the blue pill and expecting that monogamy is a goal state, most women right now aren't even looking at monogamy as a goal state. That's changing right now, right before our eyes. But guys are still like, oh, I can't wait till I find the one. And then when game comes along and says, there is no one, who hurt you? Because you're not, because I have said something, I can challenge the idea of the soulmate. That's one thing, but I'm not just challenging that idea. I'm challenging that idea of that they've invested and they believe in themselves. What do you want, Giuseppe? Idea query. I'm not a computer, dude. You can say, I have a question. That's fine. Can I have a red pill world between men and women and still have equality under the law for both men and women? No. Can we still respect women's choices in a red pill paradigm? I know those are moralistic questions. Can we respect them? Well, Giuseppe, men and women do not have the same definition of respect. So, whose respect are we talking about? Are we talking about my form as a man? Because when I have respect for another man, that man has to earn my respect. He has to do things and merit it and be competent and be dominant and have the receipts, right? Have the trophies. Show me what you've done. He has to be respectable. He has to earn respectability. He has to be a man that has respectability. Women don't have to have that. Women have a vagina. Respect them. That's all that matters. And women do not understand respect from a man's point of view. They do in the sense that they understand that guy's a respectable guy because he's done these things, but only from third parties. So when other men, like remember I said, women want a man who other men want to be and other women want to bang. That's part of women's understanding of men's respect. Men's respect when it comes to women is default respect. She's a woman. You have to respect her. Her prerogative is change her mind. So respect means it's just like love, right? Men and women have differing concepts of love, differing approaches to love. They also have different concepts when it comes to respect. So respect among men is not the same as respect among women. You want to know why we're feels before reels? Follow your heart, right? That only works if women have default respect. Same thing applies with guys, but men must earn respect. And so whose definition are we using? Guys want to say, well, the mutual definition of respect should be someone needs to earn your respect. Well, then why are you saying I respect women? So all a woman has to do to earn your respect is to have a vagina. That's it. Because men see that as a form of game. Like, oh, if I say I respect her. I saw this one video of these guys or these kids, man, and they couldn't have been more than I think the youngest was probably 17 and the oldest might have been early 20s, 21, 22. And these guys look like they just they've been inconvenienced, from playing whatever video games they were. And they go and they go, I respect women. I respect women. I respect women. I'm going to tell you that I respect. And it's like these kids that are saying, it's just this one stream of one guy after the next who says he respects women. And I said, you know what? That's like the worst thing you can do for women because it's valueless. It's meaningless for them. I told him, I said, saying that you have a default respect for women is like trying to pay a hooker with Monopoly money. Because it's virtually meaningless. Your attention is not what they want. Your respect is not what they want. The guy who is has her bent over double and is taking her from behind, you think she gives a rat's ass whether that guy respects her or not? In fact, she probably likes it that he doesn't respect her. But that's what you're supposed to say when you're a beta male. Because, men need to respect women. Okay, what do they do that makes them respectable? Well, they're women. Okay. So another thing is when we talk about male and female friendships, men's base idea about friendship is same-sex friendships, and women same-sex friendships. When you say, oh, well, men and women can be friends too. Okay. Who is going to be the predominant model of friendship between the two of them? Do you treat your female friends as your buddies, your guys? Hey, let's just go out and have a drink and go snowmobiling and let's go see a movie and let's, do you expect them to behave in the same way that your friends do? No, but because most guys will put up with just crap that they would come to blows over had their best friend, their male friend, had done the same thing. So there's no such thing as intersexual friendships in the sense that we know our own same-sex friendships. So and this is what I'm known for saying this is that women have boyfriends and girlfriends, and if you're not fucking her, then you are her girlfriend. What? I can't believe that I have girlfriends all the time. Well, no, you don't. You think you do, but you don't. Not because you don't want to be her friend. Most guys do. They actually, I would say 90% of beta male blue pill guys really they would pass a polygraph test that they could be friends with the girl that they think is their friends. They would pass a polygraph test. They would be happy to be her Instagram boyfriend. They would be happy to, be patted on the back and, oh, it's our 10-year friendiversary or some shit like that, right? They would be happy to have that. They're honest to God, nice guys, but you can't be her friend. Not because you don't want to, but because it's impossible for a woman to be friends with a guy if that guy is relating to her as one of her girlfriends. So that's not an insult to say. It wasn't. I'm not trying to get your goat by saying, oh, well, if you're not fucking her, you're her girlfriend. It says that's the way she sees you. Because a woman's when you're communicating as a man, when you're communicating to a woman like another woman, her hindbrain interprets you as another woman. And so you are off the list of ever having sex with her. Remember when women will say, I think of you as a brother. I think of you like a little brother or a big brother, whatever. What that means is the thought of sex with you is like having incest with her little brother. So don't think that you're going to get in there because of that. So no, there is no equality between men and women because you can't define equality in an objective state. When we say, well, can men and women have equality? Yeah, under law, I would love if I would love that if that idealized state could exist, but there's a separate standard of justice for women. Women would buckle if they had to have you want to see marches in the streets, if women's marches. That would happen if you ever said, okay, tell you what, ladies, if it's proven that you are proven guilty of fraudulent rape charges, you will then be held accountable. You will actually face the same charges that a man would for that. That would be equal justice, wouldn't it? Well, if I'm going to be a registered sex offender and I'm going to do all this other stuff and I'm going to go to jail for X amount of years, then, if a man would do that, then a woman has to do the same thing. Well, that'd be awesome. That would be an equal standard of justice under law, but you're never going to see that because women are always presumed to be the victim. That's Duluth model feminism right there. What did you say, Amar? Who hurt you? Who hurt you? Means that there is no immediate potential for manipulation of the man. Can a woman be herself? Yeah, that's another thing these guys aren't even talking about. Is first of all, and again, I'm not picking on these dudes. Okay, I'm just picking on the argument because most guys, when they have a problem with the red pill, they don't have a problem so much with the red pill. They have a problem with the game. The problem with game here is that it works. Why? If game didn't work, nobody would be talking about it. Would you think game would have lasted this long? Like when was that? Like the game? Let's just say it started in 2005 with the book, The Game. PUA. PUA actually started earlier than that. But let's just say, for sake of argument, 15 years. Would it have lasted this long if it wasn't actually working? If somebody wasn't getting some kind of results from it? It is because it understands women's nature and it uses them because men want to get laid. Well, great. Well, I want to use it to get a good, honest to goodness, loving, biblical relationship and marriage. Good. I would say the same thing. I would tell you. In fact, I said so in book 4. If you believe in no premarital sex, if you believe in prearranged marriage, if you believe in marriage at all in this century, in the last 20 years, if you still think that marriage is a good idea, then you should have to go through like at least a 2-year graduate program in game and red pill awareness, because that's the only, there's no insurance policy. And I would say even that's not an insurance policy, but it is incumbent upon you to understand game. It is incumbent upon you to understand women's nature. And I've always said that the only way you're going to do that is through maybe a decade in your 20s into your 30s of spinning plates and dating non-exclusively and understanding it firsthand. Experiment, trial and error. You're not going to win every one. You protect yourself, yes. But does that mean that you're a fake and a phony? No, it means you understand women's nature and you're using it to your best advantage. Women manipulate men all the time. Nobody says jack shit about that. A woman puts on her, push-up bra. A woman, oh my gosh, there's so many. And I'll tell you the other thing that's really upsetting about this, and I'll continue here in just a second, but the other thing that really kind of throws people off is this is unavoidable. These guys are still stuck in this old order way of thinking, but yet there's almost 20 years of images and data and videos. And I'm going to show you some tweets here in a second, right? There's so much information that backs up red pill, so much that validates game. It is unignorable. Even if, like I said, if I ever disappeared, MGTOW disappeared, MRAs disappeared, everybody disappeared, people would still be red pill. Guys would still figure this stuff out because it's unignorable right now. And so when I see this, it's kind of it's almost like cute. It's almost like quaint. It's so quaint. It's like, oh wow, somebody who still believes in this stuff, old order thinking. Well, you really got to be the best. Put your best foot forward. Yeah, nothing more old order thinking than that. But if you're not putting your best foot forward on Instagram and you're not showing all your wild kick-ass life on jet skis and motorbikes and, you know, in a club having bottle service or whatever, then women love perception, man. They love the imagery. And if that's what gets you into an intimate relationship with them, then that's great. But you still got to have it. But whatever. I'm going to keep going. Let me catch up. God, you guys are... Where's a Marvel show? What is that? Oh. What did you say? Vinny! Vinny from Pantera. Is it common to rethink career choices after the red pill? Yeah, I could. Since then, I no longer want to be a boring white collar job, but do something cooler. Well, if that's the excuse me, if that's the catalyst that you needed, then go with it. Like okay, so let's say I don't want a boring white collar job. Really, who does? Delta males want a boring. Go along to get along. Set it and forget it. I think more and more as the internet kind of explodes more and we have more and more connectivity. And remember, we're only in one phase right now. I don't think I've ever said this on any show, is that, you know, just because I'm on here talking to you right now, and this is the only time in history that I could be doing what I'm doing right now. I have the technology to do it. I remember trying to do podcasts back in the 2008, 2009 for gaming podcasts. It was like a nightmare trying to host it. And, you know, remember it was back in the day when Google didn't own YouTube, or maybe they just bought it. I can't remember when they did, but, you know, right now, for me to do this is one thing. It used to be writing blogs all the time. I used to write blogs once a week, at least once a week, maybe even twice a week, depending on what I was doing. Always participating in forums. And now things have shifted. People like to consume their content in some other way, and I'll guarantee you that this won't be the last thing. Yeah, who wants to work a boring white collar job? Certainly not a guy who wants to get laid. She Hates Me by Puddle of Mud is beta anthem. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I heartily agree. You know it's a worse beta anthem? Do you remember a band called Stabbing Westward? And they had its hit song, it was like a number one or certainly a top 10 song called What Do I Have to Do? And it was like, what do I have to do to make you love me? It was the lyrics. And at the time I thought, well, it's got it's got a good grinding, mid-range crunch in the guitars. This is cool. And then I think I heard that a couple days. I remember watching that band open for Kiss's reunion tour back in like 1997. And I thought they were great. I thought they were a really good like opener for Kiss. And now I go back to those songs and I go, what the hell? That's a beta male anthem. What do I have to do? Oh God, plain white t-shirts. Don't send me those. Don't send me plain white t-shirt videos. The alpha in the room never has to try too hard with women in presence. Rollo is frame paramount. Yes, of course it is. Frame is everything. And remember, frame is not just about intersexual relationships. It's about interpersonal relationships as well. I try to prep anytime I talk about frame, and I've done at least 2 videos on frame, and you can always find everything I've written about frame on my blog, but also in the first iron rule of Tomassi, this frame is everything. Even in that post, in that chapter, I say the same thing, is that it's not just about intersexual relations. It's also about your family. It's also about your work. It's also about your friends, everything else. So frame is not, you have to become your own frame. You have to be your own frame. Ryan Stone has been talking about frame recently, and I think he's doing some really good work with that. So if you want more info, go check out Ryan's stuff. Yep. What else do you want? The alpha. Okay, I already talked to you, and I'm sorry to hold up the show here, but everybody is demanding my attention. You want to know why I needed a break? This is why. Do I have female readers? Yeah, I'm pretty sure I have female readers. I think I have female viewers here. I know I have at least 2 or 3 female viewers. I don't know if they're in the chat right now. Roll about 4 months in. You saved me. Thanks. You are welcome. Show me what you built, man. Show me what you do, mini trades. You want to make me proud? Show me what you built. Anon says, thanks for the work, Rollo. Started with Will Smith video. That was a good video. Went down a red pill rabbit hole. Question: why do a lot of red pill guys end up with wives, girlfriends if they promote spinning plates forever? I don't know who's promoting spinning plates forever. Even if you read, I have a 6-part series on plate theory, right? I know why I call it plate theory, but spinning plates is just basically a euphemism for dating non-exclusively. And yes, I did pick that up from Tom Likas way back in the day, and I used it for just to describe dating non-exclusively. That men need to not even imply exclusivity. Eventually, it might lead to you getting into a long-term relationship. I have always told guys, never consider monogamy until you're at least 30. And even that's kind of a conservative estimate, let's say. I think probably maybe even a little bit more than that. I think you need to, if you're going to consider monogamy, do so when you're 32, I think. Because that's usually women's epiphany phase. And you would do yourself no favors if you don't understand what women are going through at various stages of maturity, which is why I wrote book 2, which is preventive medicine, so that you know what to expect when it happens, or at least have a good idea. So why do they end up with wives and girlfriends? Well, because they never were really into spinning plates forever. See, there's two sides of this. There's the guy who spins plates and he's this incorrigible bachelor and he is going to be non-exclusive forever. And then he follows what I call the script. I really need to do a new show or a full show on the script, because I'll give it to you in a nutshell. What the script is that men tend to think of themselves as sort of these maverick independent guys. The script is really this. The script is being a MGTOW forever. And I hate to break it to most MGTOWs, but you're not an original thinker. If you go and you look at plays by Shakespeare, like, what is it? Is it Much Ado About Nothing? I think it might be one. As You Like It might be another. Whatever. It's this idea that you are this incorrigible bachelor, and it's the Beauty and the Beast theme. I'll never marry a woman. I'll never get married. I'm going to be a bachelor forever because I've got my shit together and I've made a lot of money and I'm in a state right now where I'm completely 100% independent. And they'll write romantic comedies about this. Ovid wrote poems about it, right? Shakespeare's written plays about this, where you have the incorrigible bachelors, or a group of them, for instance, like in some Shakespearean plays, right? Group of incorrigible bastards, incorrigible bachelors who will never marry, because why should they? They're living the life. They've mastered they're the masters of their own destinies and their realms and whatever else, right? We've got everything. It's nice to have women, but we don't want to have anything that's too, to tie us down kind of thing, until they meet the one, the soulmate. There she is across the gym, basketball court dance room from high school, and the lights shined and the angels sang and you knew she was your high school sweetheart was going to be the one for you. Or it's the Beauty and the Beast theme. Oh, well, I don't want to have anything to do with anybody. Screw society. I'm just going to be here and I'm a rock, right? And then Belle comes along and she tames the savage beast, or Tarzan. Jane meets Tarzan and Tarzan is civilized. But he's civilized because he didn't know that he needed it. And only she has this unique ability to do so. And so the guy goes from being like a dedicated, confirmed bachelor to being love struck and smitten and coming over to a woman's way of thinking. He abandons his sexual strategy, which in his case would be unlimited access to unlimited sexuality, because he's on top of his game and the world is his oyster. He sacrifices that, or compromises that. Usually it sacrifices that. He sacrifices that, abandons his sexual strategy because she has some magical, unique quality, her soulmate quality, that only she can confer upon him to complete him and to make him into a civilized man, right? He's no longer Tarzan. He's no longer Superman. He's Clark Kent. So much better as Clark Kent. He's not full of himself. He doesn't fly. He doesn't run around in tights. He doesn't bend steel with his bare hands. He's Clark Kent. He's got a job and he's got responsibilities, and Lois likes him this way. No, she falls in love with Superman. She wants to bang Superman. She doesn't want to bang Clark Kent. She wants Clark Kent to watch the kids, and he's really good with them. But she wants to have sex with Superman, or Batman for that matter. She wants to have sex with the Beast, not the Prince. And that's really kind of the script in a nutshell. So I'll just give it to you. Go look it up. The script. It's on my website. What do you want? Rosie says 16 Commandments of Poon is all you need. Yeah, that is. Or Royces, not Rosies. Rosies. Well, was this AC/DC? I told you it was Van Halen, not AC/DC today. What did you say here? Jacques Robert. What you say is that the movies are to blame for always only casting good-looking men, which increases the standards for that woman expecting him every man. No, it's not the movies. It's everything. It's the cover of the romance novels. It's the hot fireman calendar. Yeah, movies. Yeah, well, that's expected. We want our movie stars to look good. Yeah. When is that done? When did that change? when did we not have that? Cary Grant. Let's go back in time. Let's take our time machine back and go ask Cary Grant about that, or whoever was Lawrence of Arabia. I don't know. Let's go back in time and see. It's always been that way. It's more. I wish it was just that. I don't mean to. I'm not parroting you. I'm just saying that. It's much more than that. It's in our face every day because we are in a global sexual marketplace now. I need to get back to these things, you guys. Stop. 40 plus women, the most dangerous time to be married. I don't know. Maybe for you. Oh, let's keep going.
Thinks that it's rude that you didn't respond for 6 hours.
Exactly. You're removing people. The other thing about the red pill, and while I think it is and can be useful to speak in generalities about men, women, Democrats, Republicans, it's also important to keep in mind, all women are this way. Well, there are some women who are lesbians, right? There are some women who all your male charm will not work on, and they make up a significant portion of the population. So if that exists, it stands to reason that there are other
Okay. Lesbians do not represent a significant portion of the population, okay? Well, what is a significant portion of the population? How many, worldwide, how many women are lesbians? And it's kind of like, as a red pill guy, as a red pill aware man, I would look at this and I would go, well, why do women become lesbians? And they would be like, well, they're born that way. I'm like, no, most women will have sex with anything. And I don't mean that in a bad way. Okay. I mean it. Okay. I guess it sounds bad, but most women are sexually fluid. In fact, one of the earliest essays I wrote was called Sexual Fluidity because I happened to watch it was a big episode of it back in 2010. Oprah did this whole series on sexual fluidity of women because the women would get to about like 40 years old or 45 years old and they would ditch their husbands and their kids and detonate their families. And they realized that they couldn't find, like, the guys that they were married to were like super beta guys who were really good with the kids and they were really awesome. They were just themselves, right? Because that's what we're supposed to do. We're just supposed to be ourselves and all good. But then they decided they divorced them and they ended up getting with they were feminine female, heterosexual females who would get with like butch lesbians who were more of a man than their ex-husbands. They're now ex-husbands because they were sexually fluid. So it wasn't about, of course they danced around this because whenever we talk about homosexuality, we think of it in terms of biological reasons because that's what we've been led to believe. I don't happen to share that opinion, by the way. I think it's behavioral, and I can show you that it's behavioral because there's a thing that they're floating out called sexual fluidity. And women can duck in and duck out of it, whatever. If they want to have sex with a woman, they want to have sex with a woman. No, I'm not saying that there aren't women who aren't hardcore, heterosexuals. But women are much more sexually fluid than men are. Men are either homosexual or they're heterosexual. And we can, if you want any information on this, is really great. I wouldn't necessarily call her a Evo psych person, but Dr. Meredith Chivers has done a lot of work on this about what like turns on homosexual men and what turns on heterosexual men. And it's usually very this and this. Lesbians turn on heterosexual men. That's a big niche in porn. Because two women queuing sexual availability, that's a bonus in evolution land. that's an evolutionary bonus for a guy. Oh, they're both hot. You want to know why women masturbating is niche porn and men masturbating is perversion that will get you like a life as a confirmed sexual predator or whatever? Because you're publicly masturbating while a woman who does it gets paid, I don't know, $100,000 a month, top dollar anyways, on OnlyFans. It's because men see women masturbating as a cue for sexual interest and as a cue for reproductive opportunity. Whereas men doing it, it's a failure because only guys who jerk off, the guys who jerk off are the guys who can't get laid. And so we go, oh, that's perverse. Get away from me. Get your dick out of here. Whatever. We think it's disgusting that the guy's walking around with his dick in his hand. But we don't. When a woman, you want to know why is it that dildos outsell fleshlights? Why is it that dildos are like something that you could buy at like a Tupperware party, right? Like women have the sex toy parties and lingerie parties. That's cool. We're good with that. You can't have fleshlight parties. You don't get to have you don't have sex dolls or whatever. Though that's like a pervert. Oh my God, guys have toys that jerk them off. Yeah, well, why is one gross and one not? Evolutionarily speaking, one is a reproductive opportunity. The other one is just like, that's a loser. Losers masturbate. That's why. That's why you feel that way. That's why when you do NoFap and all, I need to get my life together. I'm going to stop jerking off. Why would that occur to you if that wasn't like something that has an evolutionary basis? I don't know how I got to that. Sorry. But anyways, moving on here. I think a lot of this is what I would expect from guys who don't know anything about the red pill. Again, I'm not here to lambast these guys. It's just to sort of explain this as we go along here. I'll shut up. Hang on.
Subsets in there that might not want to play those games, right? That might not follow all the standard rules as laid out by this community, even if, and I'm not saying that they are, even if this represents the majority.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is another common mistake. This is what I call the lie of individuation. All right, so this is something that requires a little bit of explanation for sure. But what the lie of individuation is that people are people. Remember that song? It wasn't Tears for Fears. It was Depeche Mode. People are people. Like people are just these random forces of nature that we're all, and it's always very popular with people who believe in social constructionism. So your personality is the result of just all. It's either two things. It's you making your own choices, and you don't know where they came from or where the influences came for you to even be prompted towards those choices. We don't talk about that. We just think that it's just like, well, free will, and we just go make our choices, or else it's social constructionism. So the only reason you want hot girls is because you saw a good-looking girl back in the day. You saw a good-looking girl on the cover of the Sports Illustrated swimsuit model edition. So therefore, that's your beauty standard. No, it's because you as a guy want a hot looking girl. Youth, beauty, fertility. That's why those covers are something that men like. That's why it's the top selling, or it used to be anyways, the top selling issue of Sports Illustrated. Let's get a bunch of hotties and put them on there and G-strings and call it good and make a lot of money. We still do that. It's still one of the easiest ways to make money. Turn guys on. Hit the right. It's easy. It's easy to hit guys. It's so predictable. It's easy to do it. But we want to believe that everybody's a unique little snowflake, that we just make decisions because we're all special. That's so nice. Wouldn't that be great? We're all special, and not everybody's the same. And we're who we are because people are people, and we are just individuals. That's what I mean by individuation or individual. That's the lie of the individuation. I think that's what it's called. That it's the individual that decides everything for themselves rather than being influenced, rather by influence of anything. Guys who are into like personal responsibility, tradcons love this part. Well, you can't blame it on the red pill. You can't blame it on biology because people make choices and should be held accountable for them, and it's personal responsibility. They love that. That's how they sort of circumvent the lie of individuation. On the opposite side, it is, well, if I go and I say the blank slate is bullshit, and that I can show you natural proclivities of men and women, I can show you how our brain architecture is different. I can actually now show you the cellular differences between men and women, the way we think, the way we act, our sexual market value, but our sexual mating strategies differ, and what we're prompted to, our mating strategy, how men and women are actually promiscuous by nature and monogamous by choice, or monogamous by behavior, anyways. And we are, I can show you natural things that are part of our evolved mental firmware. And that's where, the live individuation is almost like the antithesis of evolved mental firmware, because it implies predestination is a moral thing, but it implies determinism, biological determinism. And I remember when the book, was it Selfish Gene, came out. It was really popular in pickup artist communities back in the early 2000s because it backed up a lot of the stuff that they were like, especially what Mystery was talking about at the time, but it backed up a lot of the theory anyways, that they would take out and apply as practice in the field. But women hated it because it gave men a sort of like the devil made me do it. Instead of the devil, it's biology. Biology made me do it. It's my selfish gene. Sorry, I cheated on you because, it's just the way we're made. It's how we evolved. And again, the TradCon personal responsibility guys go, no, that's not a license to go and be a CAD. And women say, no, you have to, they agree. Oh, we don't want you to do that. And even the guys who said, even the guys who were reading Red Queen was another one, but the selfish gene, even they were saying the same thing. It's not a license to, we can go against our own natural, innate programming. We can do those things, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. It doesn't mean that it's not an influence. It's your operative state. Your operative state is promiscuity. Your operative state is, as a guy anyways, is to want to get unlimited access to unlimited sexuality. Does everybody do that? No. Even alpha males who could do that will still limit themselves from doing it because they have some sense of morality. They were raised a certain way. They're in a different culture. Maybe they just simply don't have the opportunity. There's lots of reasons why even an alpha male who could enjoy unlimited access to unlimited sexuality doesn't do that. Lots of reasons. There's also guys and MGTOWs and Doompill love this one. She can get laid anytime she wants. Yeah, she can. But does she? Her innate mental firmware is hypergamy. Always looking for a better deal. Hypergamy never seeks its own level. It's always looking for, it asks one question. Is he the best I can do? That's not going to stop. But there are buffers. Your software can override your firmware. And it used to be, and maybe that's a little bit different now, and I think you definitely have a case by saying, OnlyFans, Instagram, blah, blah, blah. Women can get anything. The world is their oyster. They're entitled. They're bitches. That's gynocentrism, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, you're 100% right. 100% right. I don't disagree one iota. In fact, I've written books and essays about exactly that. Can they control that? Are there factors? Are there variables that control hypergamy? Absolutely. There still exists now. It could be your family. It could be society. It could be religion. It could be where it might even just simply be opportunity. Just because, I've said this 1,000 times, is, not every, it's not that every woman will, it's that any woman can. And the part where I say not every woman will is exactly what this guy's saying. But he wants to say it's all about generalities, or we're trying, the game community, or the red pill community is trying to force fit everybody into this one way. No, we're not. We never have. Nobody has ever said that. So I think that what happens is when something goes against these guys, and not just these guys, but just critics in general, so I'm not picking on anybody here. When guys get upset with the red pill, it's usually two things. It's authenticity of the guy, because they want to put it on the guy. It's your responsibility to be authentic, because if you're not, then you're a cheater, and then you're a cad, and then you're a player, and then you're a manipulator. And that's not good for anybody. Certainly not good for us betas who can't get laid, right? Yeah. So you need to police yourself. Okay. Well, game works because women's nature says you're wrong. Perception is everything. And we can make it work to our advantage. How we use that, again, how you use game is like, it's like Prometheus giving fire to humans, right? You can use it to burn down your home, or you can use it to cook your food, right? You can use it to burn down your neighbor's home, or you can use it to heat your home, whatever. So it's not that it's bad or it's good. It's just that it just is. It's just how you apply it and how you use that, how you use game. That's why Ross Jeffries was concerned that these kids are going to blow themselves up. And a lot of them did. So there's the authenticity part of it. And then there is the idea that all these guys cling to is biological determinism and sweeping generalities. Well, let me tell you something about generalities. Generalities is how science works. What is it? Man bites dog is news because dog bites man is the rule. The exception proves the rule. I don't understand why in 2020 I need to explain that again. The exception proves the rule. More women are going to be like that. It's not that they're bad people. It's not that they're damaged. It's not that they, have daddy issues or mama was a bitch or what. No, that's the mechanics. That's the nuts and bolts. Can women overcome hypergamy? Yes, they can. Absolutely, they can. They're not encouraged to do so now. In fact, they're encouraged not to do that. Single mommies is being a superhero right now. Why? Well, why wouldn't you? I want to be a superhero. Or abortions. Women have the option to it's not that every woman will, it's that any woman can. So when we talk about generality, I'm more interested in generalities than I am in anecdotal, exceptions or outliers. And most of science is based on the same thing. It's not that the outliers don't mean anything or that they're whatever, but they're outliers for a reason because the rest is generally true. The rest works. That's your operative state. If you're not one of the things that maybe it's my pet peeve or whatever, but one of the things that really annoys me as just sort of a guy who's writing about this stuff and has been doing this for, critical thinker. I don't know what the hell to call myself, but one of the things that really annoys me is the idea that generalities shouldn't be what we base everything off of. We shouldn't just, it's a sweeping generality. Well, sweeping generalities is a logical fallacy. Got it. Understand. But generalization is very useful because it's a framework from within. We can even identify outliers. If you're basing your life on outliers, that's feelings based stuff. Okay. Well, it's not true for everyone. That's what women think. When you say something, whenever I say something about women's nature, most men will say, well, men do it too. That's blank slate equalism. But what most women will do is if they disagree with what you say as a generalization about women's nature, they won't say, well, men do it too, although they do. But most of the time, they'll say, well, as a woman, my experience has been this, X, Y, Z, blah, 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 blah. Because I have a vagina and I speak for all women. Every single time you hear any kind of generalization, and men, feminized men, will do this too. They'll say the same thing. Well, not all women are like, and Naywalt, right? Not all women are like that. No, but enough of them are that we can use these generalizations as a predictive framework. Thank you. Welcome to game. Come on in. We're all having a party here. Because what women will do is, and feminized men will do, is they'll adopt the idea that the outlier is the cosmic universal truth. Well, as a woman, this doesn't meet with my experience. Yeah, but it meets with the men's experience who are there in the field doing this for the past 20 years. That's why it's a generalization, because that hypergamy can be a generalization. Is it individually true? Most of the time, yes. Is it always individually true? No, because women can still find ways to get up and over that. So generalizations are actually more useful than anecdotes and outliers. Much more useful base your understanding of the universe on what is generally true, and you probably won't get killed. It's like how we get to metaphorical truth, right? I think I mentioned this last. Did I talk about? Oh no, I talked about this in my Another reason why you should have gone to the Rule Zero online conference. I talked about this in my my talk. I talked about metaphorical truth, and this is actually, they should know, Brett Weinstein actually came up with this. This is a really good. I think this is something really good that I put into book 4. Is that metaphorical truth is this? These are things that are not objectively true, but we behave as if they are true. So all snakes are poisonous, so stay away from snakes. Don't touch snakes. Don't get near a snake. Don't let the snake get to the baby. Now, are all snakes objectively poisonous? No. A garter snake's not going to kill you, you know. A gopher snake's not going to hurt you. A water moccasin will kill you. You know, are all snakes venomous? No. Why do we fear snakes? Because enough of them are that we can build a predictive framework around it. And as such, we make a metaphorical truth. It is better to behave as if all snakes are venomous and to fear snakes and spiders. And you want to know why women have an innate fear of spiders or creepy crawly things or insects or snakes for that matter. You know, it makes it into our Bibles and it makes it into our folklore and everything else. Stay away from the snake. It's crafty and it will kill the baby if it gets to the crib. Well, are they all poisonous? No, but enough of them are that killed enough people that we go, if you see a snake, drive it out of Ireland. Drive it out of Ireland. You know, smack the snake, kill the snake, death to the snake, crush the snake with your heel, right? That's biblical. Satan was a snake. Well, so that's more metaphorical truth. I'm not saying we can argue. I'm not going to get into theology or seminary school or whatever. I'm not going to get into that right now. But from what Brett Weinstein was talking about, it's true. Because generally speaking, enough people have died from snake bites as to say, well, best to behave as if they all are. Well, he used this other one. He used this other this other illustration. Like it's porcupines can shoot their quills at you. No, they can't. No porcupine's going to shoot a quill at you. But if it keeps you away, like keeps you from getting so close to the porcupine that it can actually stick you with a quill, then that's good. That's a good thing. That's a metaphorical truth. So treat all porcupines as if they could shoot a quill at you from like 10 yards away. Because if you get a freaking quill in you, that's going to hurt like hell, and it works its way in, right? It could really, like enough people died or enough people suffered to make up a metaphorical truth. Because the predictive framework is if you get close to a porcupine, if you fuck with a snake, if you mess with a spider, whatever, you could get killed. That's human thinking. Generalization, predictive framework. Is it always true? No. Are all women going to be hypergamy? No. But enough of them are that you should behave as if they are. Because first of all, are all women attracted to dark triad traits? It depends on what phase of maturity that they're in and what their reproductive value is and what their sexual market value is. Are they all like that? No, of course not. But enough of them are that we can predict the framework. Like when I did preventive medicine. Preventive medicine, the timeline that is in my book, my second book, Preventive Medicine, is a predictive framework. Is every woman going to follow that timeline all the way to from 15 years old to no, there's going to be, deviations and stuff for sure, but they're going to follow that. It's a useful predictive framework. So to claim, generalities. Better to know it than not to know it. What did you say? There's even giga D1s and DOs. What the hell is this? CVS. Okay, well, thank you for whatever that was about. Can a strong pimp hand justify monogamy? What do you mean justify? You mean being monogamous? Here's a funny thing. When guys ask me this, Rollo, can I get married? Can I be alpha in a marriage? Can I be alpha and be monogamous? Strong pimp hand. As long as I'm the one that's, kicking ass and taking names, can I be just with one woman? The question you need to ask yourself is not about, am I alpha? Is not if I have a strong pimp hand. It's why do you want monogamy? Why are you so compelled to ask my permission to say, Well, Rollo said it was okay. He said you could be alpha and monogamous, or you have a smart, strong pimp hand, and you'll be okay. You're okay in the red pill book. The question you ask is, why are you asking that question? Why are you asking me about monogamy? Why is that? Why is monogamy so important to you? There has to be something. So if it's really like that, and that's really where I'm not saying it's not. I'm not saying that, you need to be the man, right? You need to be dominant. You need to be in control of the frame. You need to be the man that a woman looks up to. You need authority, which is a very hard thing to do. Can you make a marriage work with a strong pimp hand? Can you be red pill in marriage? Yes, you can. Can you have a strong pimp hand? Yeah. Does it help? Sure. Game, I would say, is essential to any kind of relationship, any kind of long-term relationship. Totally essential. In fact, I would go so far as to say that don't even consider monogamy, don't even consider marriage unless you are in control of your world. Guys that say this, like they will go, I don't want to get married. I don't want to have kids yet because I don't have my finances in order. I don't have my life in order. I'm not old enough yet. I just need to get I need to get a good job. I need to get out of college. And like that, they'll fixate on that, right? Like, oh my gosh, I can't do that. Rather than think that, like that's blue pill thinking right there, right? I gotta be that guy. So you can be serviceable and basically be in an indentured servant for the rest of your life. They don't think about that. They only think about how to get to that state. And so when they're thinking about it, they don't think about the question. They don't think why they want to get there. They don't think about why do I feel like I want to be monogamous? Why do I feel like, and there might be a very good reason for it. I'm entirely fine. But what they don't think about is frame. And say, well, I need to get my finances in line and a good job and get out of college and get a professorship or whatever it is that their goals are before I have a family, before I think about marriage, before I think about having kids and all that. I got to get my all my ducks in a row here, man. You know what they don't say? I need to figure out how I'm going to stay in control of this relationship. I don't know any future. I don't even know who the girl is. I'm still single. How do I have frame? How do I give myself permission to even be the guy that says I'm concerned with me being the authority in this relationship? Because most guys won't. They're just happy that they're getting their dick sucked. They're just happy that that some woman would even like give them an IOI from across the room. Yeah, that's why, dream girls and children with dynamite. Oh man, this game stuff works. This is great. I haven't thought about frame or anything else or monogamy or so. I just know that if I do these things, I'll get laid. And then the getting laid leads to me having a great girlfriend and I'll get the hottest girl I've ever had and we'll all just live happily ever after. So I guess I'm answering you guys right now. Hang on. I know I probably missed a few of these, but let me backtrack a little bit here. I'm going to continue with this because it's still pretty good. What did you say? Hi, El Di Pablo. I knew the red pill in 41. Should I be spinning plates at this age? Yes. What else here? I want to find an LTR. Why? But uncertain if it's really me or the blue pill conditioning. Well, that would be a good place to start. You know how you find out? You start spinning plates. I want to find out if I want to find an LTR, but I'm uncertain if it's really about. I will tell you this, is if your first concern at 41, I don't know if you are divorced or if you're just still, just never married, whatever, no kids. You want the good news is this, you're a guy and you have a much longer shelf life than a woman who would be 41 years old. Sexual market value speaking. So that's the good news. The second, the bad news, if there is bad news, I would say is that most guys are serial monogamists. Most guys operate from strategic pluralism theory, which is low value men, low sexual market value men, low value men use what's called strategic pluralism theory to find, that's their mating strategy. Find one girl, focus on sniper mentality, focus on that one girl and then take my shot. Put everything into it, show her that I'd be the best beta provider that can possibly be. And then she'll see how suddenly the clouds will part and the angels will sing and she'll see that I'm the perfect guy for her. Stop that. Start thinking about you. When you think about LTRs, you're not thinking about yourself. You're thinking about the other person. Usually you are. When you get into it, maybe that changes. But prior to that, if you're already, like most guys are what I call pre-whipped. They already know that I want to get a girlfriend. And when one comes along, I'll do anything for her. You know how I know that that's still prevalent today? Because every damn simp on OnlyFans or whatever you're looking at these girls, these are the guys who are kicking down $4,000 a month so that she knows exactly that I would do anything for her. Why? That's exactly what a blue pill simp does. Because transactional relationship is the only thing they'll ever know. But it's more than that. I want her to know that she's special to me, but she's special. Why aren't you special? Yeah, because I'm a worm. Alpha male. What are you asking me? Women have a pimp hand now, literally. Yeah, well, can't be a pimp and a prostitute too. Icky Thump. It's a good song. You guys don't think I know things, but I know things. I know more things than you think I know things. I really do. And not just about this kind of stuff. Go monk mode. Well, go monk mode with a plan to come out of monk mode. Go monk mode for a while, but don't just go, I'm just going to go monk mode. Because the guys who go monk mode, they never come out of monk mode unless they go, I'm going to be monk mode for this amount of time and then I'm going to be done. Rodrigo Ayala. When are we going to get the rational male translated to Spanish? My brothers and friends are eligible. Maybe you can still save Latin America. I wish gracias. You are more than welcome, my friend. I have plans for translations for all the books, actually, once book 4 is out. In fact, I'm already looking at somebody to help me with book 4 so that I can get it going. That is the next to when is the audiobook coming out or when is the hardback coming out. Translations is what everybody asks me for. There's actually a Korean translation of The Rational Male somewhere. I haven't heard from the guy in probably like 6 years now, but there is actually a translation. There's also a Polish translation. Also haven't heard anything from those guys in quite some time. And it's actually, I'm actually very much in love with the Polish translation, and the hardback book of it is as amazingly well done. But you know, I need to get it into like some like mainstream languages like Spanish, German, French. I'll probably start with the Latinish languages first, and then I'll move on to other things. But yeah, there's definitely yes, muy gracias, muchas gracias. Okay, did you guys see Macho Táxico? That was a good one. All right, let me keep going because I do want to get through some of this.
Just my philosophy around dating is, we've talked about this, put your most average and normal foot forward while trying to become the best version of yourself.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
That is probably some of the single worst advice I can possibly imagine to give a guy. Just be average, man. Just be yourself. That's basically, that's the 2020 version of just be yourself. And if you've read my first book, you'll probably already picked up just be yourself, JBY. Just be yourself, man. The right one will come along. You want the girl that God gave you. No, not if you're putting your average foot forward. Because there are so many guys who've used the average card, and the average card doesn't buy shit. Okay. The above average card, because women don't want average. Are you kidding me? Have you seen any of the stuff that John or Myron or Troy or like any mainstream PUA, and PUA has changed quite a bit. Have you seen any of the stuff that they're talking about? Even if you aren't a player, even if you're not going to go, well, I just want to have sex with a lot of random women. Even if that's not you, you still owe it to yourself to have a better understanding of how the global sexual marketplace works right now. Average doesn't get you shit. You've got that again, brand of me. You are your own brand. Well, this is just me, jeans and t-shirt. Let's go get burrito. Taco Tuesday. What was it? Adam Carolla. I did an essay, and I think I put it in. I did. I put it in book. It's either 1 or 2, but it's called Have a Look. And I based that essay on this video that Adam Carolla did, which is absolutely brilliant back in like 2012 or 2014, something like that. And he was talking, it was just an audio thing, but the video was really, really good. And it was Have a Look, right? Or that was what I titled the essay. And he breaks down, and remember, this is like prior to Instagram being what it is and the sexual marketplace being what it is today. I mean, like 8 years prior. And he says, women today are like casting agents. They're looking for a character. You know, we need a tough brother from the street. We need a guy that looks like he's from The Cure. We need a guy that looks like he's, Thor, Chris Hemsworth. We need a guy to fit these particular roles. I know, I used to do the exact same thing. That was my game for a long time, is I fit a character. I fit a role that women wanted to have sex with. Just being a guy, just like, wear a nice Henley or wear just a nice polo shirt. And if you're just a guy, guys who are just, average guys who don't have a look, who don't have a theme, who don't have a character that even that women can even guess at, those guys are punished. And they are punished to this day. Especially, I would say even more so to this day. You want to know why so many guys are going black pill, doom pill, and just losing their shit right now? Because that even their minimum effort is not even close to drawing any kind of curiosity from women. So putting your average foot forward is probably the single worst bit of advice I think that you could possibly give to anyone, to any guy for that matter. I would say exactly the opposite. I would say, you know what? Fake it till you make it. Change your mind about yourself, change your mind about your looks, change your mind about your attitude, change your mind about, people say, well, you're a poser. You're not, hey man, don't be somebody you're not. Well, when people tell you that, they want you to stay predictable, because predictable, they want you to be the crab in the barrel. Pull them back down. Put your average foot forward, because that's what women want. They want down to earth, natural guys. Dude, go on any Tinder. Go on Instagram. Go to any club, man. Go to any, he doesn't have to be Vegas or Miami. Just go to any kind of mainstream club. Hell, go to a country bar. You think the chick's there? Oh, I just want a guy with the high shades looking out of his mouth. He's got my tractor sexy. No, it's not. They want the guy that looks like gangster ass. That's the guy that they want. They want average. Average doesn't attract. Average, if you want to see purple cow, man, you want to be the purple cow in the sea of black cows or brown cows, right? That's the one that stands out. It's like, you want to be the best that you can be. Well, the problem with that is that the opportunity cost of that is astronomical in today's global sexual marketplace. Well, I'm not going to date until I actually believe who I am is really who I am. How do you get there? Treat yourself like a king. That's one of 48 laws of power, right? Enter into action with boldness. Be the shit, man. I'm not saying you got to walk around with I'm somebody I'm not. I'm not saying that. You don't have to be most people will say, we'll jump to binary extremes. It'll be like, well, you're telling guys to dress up like John, to dress up like John from Modern Life Dating, to be a professional wrestler, to put on a big top hat and a big feather boa and paint your nails black. No, I'm not. You don't have to do that. You don't have to do that to be somebody that women are attracted to. But you got to stand out. You can't just put average foot forward. Average foot forward gets you nothing, especially in an age where 70+% of certainly men are overweight. It's easy to sit there while both these guys don't look like they're fat. But it's easy to sit there and go, well, just be yourself. Everything will work out. You know what? When people tell you be yourself, they're telling you, I really got no idea, but just be you, man. And all the fates will align, man. The stars will align, and barometric pressure and humidity and Venus will be aligned with Pluto, and someday the girl will come to your front door. Get the fuck out of here. What? Would you ever consider doing a book compilation with the guys off Rule 0 if you had the opportunity? Yeah, I would. It's not something we've discussed. Most of these guys are doing their own thing, but I wouldn't mind doing something like that. I actually wanted to co-author this book with Dalrock, but Dalrock very much is a private person. So, and I respect that. I'm cool with that. I love Dalrock. I still do. And I always will. Dalrock, if you're listening. Let's see. Rollo, love from MGTOW. Thanks. Check out the Hebrew before the book Nagash. Isn't he the Lord of the Undead? Genesis 3. And okay, thanks. Thanks for the tip. I'll go and have a look at that, my friend. And I really will too. Book of Nagash. Nagash is the Lord of the Undead in Warhammer. I'm trying to find a few more here. So anybody who's telling you just be yourself. Oh, and thank you for that. Gerard Parker. Don't take them seriously.
A lot of these games were created by people who saw it working for someone else that was doing it unthinkingly. Mm-hmm. And so I think rather than try to mimic that behavior, why would someone
leave someone on
not
red? Yeah.
Well, let's say not leave on red, because once you've read it, you can respond or whatever. But like, let's say you get a text and you don't respond for 4 hours. Well, if you weren't playing games, what would that mean? Maybe it means you were surfing for 4 hours. Mm-hmm. Maybe you're actually indisposed. So instead of worrying about what are the habits of guys that do well with women and how can I try to pretend I'm like that, I would say find the guys that you're trying to model and figure out like why are they this way? It's probably because it's not that important to them. They're doing other stuff. They're with their friends. They're doing their hobbies. They have a job they're passionate about. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, sometimes I'll actually go too far on accident. I'll check a dating app, message someone, and then forget to check for a week. And I'm like, oh my God, hey, I'm really sorry. And I'll blow that. But it's because I'm doing other stuff. And like,
okay, so let's tap into that, because this is old school PUA. This is the be the prince model. Okay, be the prize, I should say. And one of the things about the qualities of the prince is that a prince's time is valuable. And I'm not talking about Prince Harry. A prince in general. A prince's time is valuable, and a woman who wants to get with the prince should know that his time is valuable, and as a result, be appreciative of the attention that the prince is applying to a poor commoner just like herself. The problem with that is that no woman thinks you're a prince, period. They think that they are princesses. The qualification dynamic points towards women, not towards men. So first off, not responding to a text, pretending you got shit that you don't have, pretending to be authentic and not be authentic. Like he's saying, well, I might not have checked a text because I was out surfing, right? I was actually out living and enjoying life, and she will want to come on into my frame and be part of my life. That's how you do it. That's how that's just you being yourself. Well, for some guys, being themselves is sitting around watching anime, sucking down a 6-pack, and eating half a pizza. That's them being themselves. How come they don't get fitness models? How come they don't get those things? Well, they should be their best self. Well, that's really fucking easy to say, isn't it? It's not about just being yourself. You have to actually make a choice. You have to figure out how to. There's a reason why human beings learn from others. We learn by doing. We have a learning form of intelligence, right? So primates do this, right? There are things that we innately know, and then there are things that we have to learn from others. So when you see somebody doing these things, you see like guys ask me like, well, do I have to be an asshole? No, but you have to tap into the energy of the asshole. You have to use that kind of chutzpah, right? Or whatever, chutzpah. You have to, God, I'm going to get it. You have to use that self-importance. And that's what most men don't have that. Most men don't have, most men aren't, I'm going to surf guy. Most guys don't have some great wild life that would be great. That'd be so fucking awesome if everybody did that. That'd be so great. But no, guys don't do that. They wouldn't be online doing this. There are more simps than there are likes to surf guy, right? There are more simps than there are guys who are passionate about you need to focus. Yeah, that's another thing that kind of throws me. And this is no dig on anybody that I know personally, but like when it comes to like success porn, when it comes to like, do the work and be the best version of yourself and, get out there and do it. Motivational speaking guy. And I'm not talking about Rich. I'm just talking about anybody, right? The problem with that is that's always going to sell. Like motivation is always going to sell. RSD picked up on that way early back in like 2014, 2015. Like if we sell motivation, if we sell Tony Robbins is a multi-bazillionaire because he sells motivation. It sounds fun. You can go and kick in the gates of hell. But then when you leave, you're like, what? And you go home and you do nothing. You go back to your anime, your beer and your booze and you're jerking off. And because most guys aren't going to do that. Most guys don't have their fantasies, their escapisms are better places to live than their actual lives. So when you say, okay, well, so what do they do? What do losers do when they want to be winners? They look at what winners are doing, right? That's what everybody says. You want to be a winner, you hang out with winners. If you're not a millionaire, hang out with a bunch of millionaires and you'll learn how to be a millionaire. Okay, that's male bonehead deductive logic, but I understand why you would come to thinking that. You are, what is it? You are the sum of the 5 people you hang out with the most. And that says a lot about me because the 2 people I hang out with, 2 organisms I hang out the most with my 2 dogs. So what does that say? Maybe I'm a cool guy because I hang out with my greyhounds, but that's just the way we learn. We learn by doing. We learn by seeing. And again, it's not guys, especially in 2020. It's not guys going, that natural alpha over there acts like a jerk. So or he's an AMOG or whatever. This is old school game. He acts like a jerk. So if I act like a jerk, I'll get laid too. It doesn't work that way. It's not just about that. It's the guy. It's who that guy is, what that guy's about. Right? So there's an authenticity thing to it, yes, but it's not just that. It's not just the authenticity. It's not just the playing, but that's what you have to start somewhere. So where do you start? By putting your average foot forward? You got to put your best foot forward. You got to, even if you're posing it, even if you're dressing it up, even if you're putting on different clothes. Maybe, I don't feel good. I'm just jeans and t-shirt guy. Well, what happens if you put on an Armani suit? People react to you differently. I'm just a fat guy. That's just who I am. Okay, well, when you go to the gym, you're going to the gym. That's not really who you are. You're a fat guy. You don't go to the gym. Put your fat average foot forward. Women will love you. Just be you. That's what they really want. No, and it's not looking at other guys just doing that. It's also comparing. We have so much data. We have so much information right now. We have every Instagram account. We have every OnlyFans account. We know why simp. We have so much data. It's not just, I think I'll just act like that guy and things. No, those guys want to change something about themselves, not because they're trying to act like someone else, it's because they're trying to change their lives. It has to start somewhere. So you do them no favors by saying, put your fat ass forward, right? Get to the gym. Improve yourself. Okay, great. But that doesn't mean don't try while you're at it. Fake it till you make it, good. Just make sure that you make it.
I think that the answer isn't to try to learn what the behavior is that works and then present yourself as if you're the kind of guy who's doing cool stuff. I think it's become the kind of guy who's doing cool stuff. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
And then sometimes you'll respond 10 seconds after someone texts you, and sometimes you'll be busy with your band or your surfing or your art and you won't respond.
Sure. And I think that with all things when it comes to social relationships, you can copy the behavior or the place that the behavior comes from. Now, sometimes when you copy the behavior, it can just be helpful. If you're going to speak more with your hands out, it's generally a good idea. There are other things like you talked about, like, oh, wow, I watched that guy ignore a text. I'm going to copy that. But when you're missing the intent and the place that it comes from, it's just not as powerful and, in fact, can be counterproductive.
Excuse me. I'm going to stop with that one because I think this is a really good example. And there's not much after this anyways. But so I'm going to talk to these guys later. But here's the thing is when guys look at other guys' behaviors, like right now, like he's saying, well, you need to look at the source of those behaviors. Like what motivates these guys to do those things? Well, most guys don't live. They're not likes to surf guy. They're not likes to lift guy. They're not competitive guys. They want to be. They want to solve that reproductive problem. And so it's much easier to ape the behavior than it is to actually become that guy. And it takes longer. And the reason why guys like this, I don't know, in general, I'm not talking about these guys specifically, but the reason why guys like this hate in what they think is inauthentic men is because they know that the behaviors work. They know that women respond to those things. So if you're an authentic guy, you're likes to surf guy, you got your shit together, you got a great band, right? You're making a lot of money, you got a good business, you got a successful podcast, you're king shit, man. If you got all of that and women aren't responding to you or not in the way that you would like them to, but yet those guys who are aping the behaviors of pickup artists or aping the behaviors of whatever, those guys are getting laid. That would piss me off, right? Here's a guy who figured out a hack. Here's a guy who doesn't do the work and he still gets the reward. Women still want that. And what that does is it rattles these guys' self-image, because women should, like, by that logic, by the logic of authenticity, the more authentic I am, the more women will love me and want me and appreciate me and want to be monogamous with me, because that's the only thing I can think of, or want to have sex with me because I am an authentic guy. But yet PUA guy gets, he's getting, his notch count is in like triple digits. Well, he might have triple digits, but he's disqualified because he didn't get those triple digits the right way. And anybody who'd have triple digits anyways is not living the right life. So we're going to qualify it. But at the end of the day, that guy's getting laid and you're not. And maybe you are getting laid. But what happens is, even if that's the case and you see somebody else doing that and it works, what does that say about the women that you think should appreciate you for being authentic? What does that say about your efforts that you've made? Like, because guys, again, it kind of taps into the relational equity fallacy here. Like, the better a guy I am, I'm a better father, I make a lot of money, I finish college, I read to my kids at night, I do their homework, I go to all the piano recitals and little league games, and I'm just a swell guy, and that should be some kind of insurance against hypergamy. And they realize that their wives or their girlfriends or whatever, the mother of their children, don't find them sexy one bit. So what does that do? That shakes your impression of yourself and what you've invested in yourself. So if women don't respond to authenticity, what do you say? Well, the guy who they do respond to is disqualified, or the women who don't appreciate my authenticity, they're disqualified. They're low quality women. No, they're just women. They're just doing what they do in an environment that rewards them for just doing what they do. So you can be authentic till you're blue in the face. It doesn't mean a damn thing if a woman's not, assuming that's your primary goal, right? It doesn't mean a damn thing to women if they have no appreciation for that. They don't care about that. Yeah, I'm sure, like, well, I have my shit together and I'm 30 years old. Yeah, I'm sure women 29 to 31 years old, they love you. I can't believe you're still here. I can't believe you're still dumb. I'd love to have sex with you. Hey, can you take care of my kids? Yeah, when women are necessitous, they love authenticity. When they're not, when they're at their peak of sexual market value, it's all perception. In fact, it's still perception even later in life, but women want the full package. They want the authentic man so think about this. If you're authentic and behaviors extend from that authenticity that women are supposed to respond to, well, what's that authenticity? Oh, I didn't answer her texts, so therefore she pursues me. No one's going to know. And this shows you sort of old order thinking. Thank you, Simplefly. Old order thinking. that if I no guy, no game, no PUA today, whatever passes for, no game practitioner of today would tell you, oh yeah, ignore her texts, everything will be fine. No, you don't ignore her texts. In fact, that worked way back in 2002 when texts were like new or texts were a thing. But a hot chick that you want to get with, like Myron was just saying this, she's got so many guys. She's getting texted by guys like what, Lil Wayne, right? And the average girl has so much attention from beta orbiters, from guys who, that maybe she was interested in when she was, in the foam cannon party or when she was at the dance floor or something. He was a cute guy. I looked him up on Instagram. I checked him out. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Well, I've got 10 other guys. So if she's got 12 guys that she met in the same night, or maybe she's got 12, guys orbiting her, do you think that you ignoring her text is going to make any bit of difference? You would have to be like super high value. You would have to be seriously famous and hot and jacked. You would have to be so high sexual market value for even that average girl to pursue you as a result of you like ignoring texts. This is old school. Nobody does that anymore. No one. So to say, well, this is what these game guys are doing. No one's doing that. This is all based on old, like 2004, 2005 era game. Ignore her text or don't respond to her voice message. Who's leaving a voice message? No one. No one is doing that. That's like that's what it is. I liked your Instagram. I liked your Snapchat or whatever. I liked your pictures. I liked your social media. Hey girl, hope to see you next week. Nobody texts. Women don't text you back. Oh, hey, I had a really great time last night. I'd really like to see you. Screw her. Yeah, I'll get back to her. I gotta go. Even if you're authentic, even if you're the real guy, if you're the real deal. Now I'm gonna go surf. I got band practice. I'll get back to her. Do you think that especially if you're in a state of mind where you're in scarcity, like most guys are, the guys who want to learn to get laid, they're in a position of scarcity. They wouldn't be going to look up red pill stuff. They wouldn't have a problem to solve if they weren't in a condition of scarcity. How do I get laid? How do I live? Even if it's not that, how do I live an authentic life? I don't feel like I'm living an authentic life. I don't feel like I could be living up to my full potential. How do I do that? That guy's not the guy you need to worry about, like not responding to texts. that guy has a much deeper, not deeper, but it has a much different problem, let's just say, than you worrying about that. I remember when I first got into writing on, this was even on SoSwap, before I even had a blog, guys would say, well, I'm worried about Rollo. He's radicalizing these guys. Or I'm worried about Rollo turning these guys into like the future generations of men into a bunch of assholes. He's making future assholes. I'm not making future assholes. What I'm doing is like, don't worry. And I said this back in the day. I said, don't worry less about me creating a generation of assholes and worry more about these chumps staying chumps. Worry more about the beta blue pill guy who's going to off himself as a result of not becoming red pill aware. Worry about those guys, because there's way more guys statistically than there are guys that you would ever have to worry about turning into assholes. Because the guys who learn game, they don't turn into assholes. In fact, they want to learn game so they can fulfill their blue pill ideals. That's why. Anyways, okay, let me get to the rest of these and I'm out. So I've been going for 3 hours and I figured I owed you something because I blew off Sunday. Lady in Red by Chris. Lady in Red. Yeah, that's a blue pill anthem. Stabbing Westward, though. Go look at that. Go look that up, Rollo. Watch the Netflix show The Society, where sisterhood uber alles convinced the men for socialism. You know, I think I might have saw a trailer for that on Netflix, The Society. What else is here? My TRP community says text for logistics only as a noob. Your thoughts? Yeah. I said, man, go read book 1. I said this exact same thing in book 1, the chapter is called Buffers. Now, I'm not saying text isn't helpful. I'm not saying your text game is on point, right? Or you want to look desperate or you not want to look desperate. Be on point with your text. Okay, fine. Don't make it a buffer. Don't rely on it. You want to know why so many people are so like malformed when it comes to their social intelligence? It's because they spend all this time behind a screen. That's how they interact. That's how they learn social skills, is from looking at texts. Did I miss anybody? I don't think I missed anybody. I got to Practical Stoic. Did I? Yeah. I still have no idea what that is. There. Oh, no. Manny, I got to you. Anon says, thank you for the work. I got to that. It's Royce, not Rosie. Rosie. Thank you, Donovan. Thank you, Chris Von Erich. Let's see. Declaration. What is the best way to learn game in 2020? What is the best way to learn quarantine-specific game? Wait till the quarantine's over. I'm not going to go and suggest anybody because I can't really speak knowledgeably to that. But if you want to learn game like from somebody, I will reflect. You know what? Let's just give it to Myron this time. I usually give it to John or Troy, but I'm going to give it to Myron. Learn game from Myron Gaines right now. Next time I'll say John, and after that I'll say Troy. But all three of those guys are actually good people to learn from. Myron Gaines, Troy Francis, or John from Modern Life Dating. And John, by the way, is doing his body language mastery course, which I'm thinking about going into tonight. So I might be in his chat group for that. Also, guys, thank you so much for coming to the Real Zero online conference. We had it was amazing. It was amazing. I'm going to go Jesse Lee Peterson on you. I was surprised, actually. I was like, damn, there was more people there than I expected. And it was a good time. We put the work in. We did a good job for what we had, the shit sandwich we got with COVID this year. I can't repeat it enough. Thank you for doing it. But also I can't repeat enough that we're going to do a live event in 2021 in Las Vegas. Come hell or if I got to do it by myself, I will do it. But as soon as Las Vegas is open for business, like as far as conventions are concerned, I'm going to start looking into venues. I want to do it for probably mid-spring of 2021. So I'll give you guys, and again, this will be something I sort of hand off to my Patreon people. By the way, Patreon, I will be doing a live stream. I'm not sure what day, probably Friday. So there'll be a Patreon only live stream on Friday. I'll also at that time give you the information for the private groups that I'm planning to do for the fall season, because I'm going to do it seasonally. And that is that. If there is nothing else you guys want to me on. The other thing is this. I will be on Charlie and Ben. Is it Charlie and Ben's? Yeah. Charlie and Ben's. Yes. So I'm going to be talking to what Charlie and Ben podcast. That's what it'll be. I'll be on tomorrow about noon my time here in the West Coast. So that's Pacific. So anyways, watch for that. I don't know if it'll be a live stream. It might be recorded, but if it is live, watch my Twitter feed and I will let you know that it is or it isn't. And so that will be tomorrow. And then Rule Zero will pick up where we left off. We couldn't do it on Saturday for obvious reasons. We were doing the private conference. So now we will be back on point. And I believe it is Rich Cooper's turn to host. And then it's me. Or maybe it's, sorry. I think it might be Troy Francis. Anyways, look for the usual suspects. If you haven't joined the mailing list for Real Zero, let me know and I'll get you on that as well. Because a lot of people say, well, when's the next show? Well, if you want to be on the mailing list for that, so you know when the next show is, I can add you to it. So just hit me up either on Patreon or on any of my socials. So, all right, guys, thanks a lot, and I will see you next on Saturday. All right, bye-bye.